Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Pass the Barb, the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. I am your host, Adam Bartusik. Today is Wednesday, September 6th. We apologize for the late upload. A lot of people on the road with Labor Day and everything, but I am joined by two of my good friends. Up top, we got Mr. Ryan Pinkalla.
What up? Welcome back, everybody. Just before we get into this, just want to get everybody's head in the right way here and just say rate and subscribe this thing. We got a ton of people listening. We're growing like crazy. We got the audience is growing fast. We would love to hear you guys' feedback. So rate and subscribe this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this. And I think what we've decided is on Apple Podcasts, once this thing hits 100 ratings and reviews, we're going to do a giveaway.
Yeah,
so,
big giveaway too.
Big giveaway. I don't know if we're going to release all the details yet.
Oh, we got good old Pinkalla's bad
freeze?
Wi-Fi back. Yeah,
oh god
it's
damn.
the return. Drunk Woody is pumped right now. For those
Son
of you
right.
who haven't been looking in, for those of you who haven't been listening for a long time, Drunk Woody always told us last winter that every time Pinkalla froze, he would take a shot. So we're back. He'll be pumped right now. But
and I would like
Pink,
to say that we have been at fault for him getting drunk. So there you go.
Yes,
there it is.
That has been our fault. But with what Pink was saying, I'll introduce Mr. Sam Sobi down below. Yes, we are going to do a giveaway. There's so many more of you listening to this podcast than have reviewed. So if you can just go do it once.
Yeah, we're choosing Sobi? Someone who has reviewed the podcast. If you review Pass the Barb, you'll get your name in the hat. We'll draw it out. And I personally have a giant mystery gift that I'll be sending out from inside my garage to one of you. And then Pinkalla and Ryan have a really nice gift also for you that rate and subscribe and you review the channel. So thank you so much. We want to say thank you. We recently became the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. We couldn't be more happy. And we're just going to jump right into it. So Pinkalla, Bart, Sobi, this is Pass the Barb on a Wednesday.
Yes, let's do this. So first thing we're going to get into a little bit of the current events, because I think the last time we recorded a week early, actually, because we knew the end of August and the beginning of September was going to be a complete and utter shit show for all of us. So we have not all connected in a long time. I believe the last time we chatted, the team trail season had just ended. Sobi was getting ready to go to Lahamadu. I had to film 2 Champions Tour events yet. Pink was getting ready for his first hunting expedition. So we're going to go into all of it. So Sobi, catch us up on your life. You jump in. What's been going on since we last recorded?
Okay, current events. It was the tail end of the tournament fishing season, and we had Tourney Tuesday, which kind of slowly wrapped up, and that was good.
First of all, can we dive into that? I never heard how. I know we didn't make the championship. Obviously, you just released your video. Pink, how did our last tournament go? Because
Adam was gone and I was gone also.
We were both at the Champions Tour.
Yeah, so that was
Pink. Fill us in. What happened?
Yeah, so this was like the last one before the championship. You weren't there, so I ended up fishing with somebody new. So Matt, who I'd never even met before. So you were like, like definitely fish with this guy. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And I went out and so the tournaments are on Tuesday. I went out and practiced Monday just because I hadn't been on that lake in a super long time. He happened to be out there that night. So I met him for like 5 minutes the night before the tournament. And
for those who don't know, Voight listens to the podcast, and Voight is he's my tournament partner for the summer. So I was like, Pink, just fish with Voight. You guys will have a blast.
Yeah. But I mean, whatever. I didn't know him. So I was like, okay. So whatever. We met each other quick. It sounded like it was fishing really tough from what he said. So I went out for a couple hours, messed around, and it was not easy. Like in that Monday, I didn't even catch a single bass.
This is a lake that can steal your soul too. This is a good lake that can crank out weight, but it can steal a man's soul.
Yeah.
I heard the access was like torrentially bad to get into as well, wasn't it?
It was very shallow. So like when you back your trailer in, like your trailer like went off the back of like the paved portion.
Ooh.
So like like your wheels fell off, like the concrete part of the ramp. So like, yeah, to pull out was actually like real shitty because your wheels are like hooked down on the bottom of the concrete. So you had to like just gun it to like get your whole trailer. It was kind of a shit show, honestly. But yeah, so I caught a ton, like the pike fishing is on that lake right now. But yeah, so it was tough for me. I didn't really have anything. I played around shallow, and he pretty much fished deep, and I think he was there all day on Monday, and he said he caught like 3 or 4 bass or something, like not very many. And so whatever, tournament day rolls around, and I had gotten a tip. I had talked to Griff a little bit about that place, and he gave me a tip on a bait that he'd caught him pretty good on like earlier in the year out there or whatever. So I'm like, all right, I'm throwing that thing the whole goddamn time. Like I have nothing else, And I asked Matt, like, hey, were you throwing? No, he wasn't throwing that the whole time. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna kind of lock that in. And we were just kind of like, let's just get 5. Let's just get 5 and see what happens, kind of thing. And we hit like all of his spots that he felt confident in, and it was a struggle. But we did get one small bite kind of on the first spot.
Nice.
Which was kind of like, okay, get us going. And I caught one that was like just under, I caught like a three something, like pretty early, which was cool.
Huge
on that. Yeah. On that bait. And it was on a spinning rod and everything. So it was like, it got buried in the coon tail. It was a whole deal, but we got it in the boat. And it was just a grind. Like we caught like 1 fish an hour kind of thing,
That sounds like that lake in general. It can be really good with flurries, but there's a lot of times
through the tournament
where it's just dead.
How many times, Adam, have we fished that lake where literally throughout the whole course of the night we have barely gotten a limit or gotten 6 bites?
We typically would fill our limit in the last hour out there, but like that was Pinkalla and my method the whole year.
Yes,
but out there, Sobi and I were like, this is just kind of what you do on that lake.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Long story short, we basically had like one that was about 3 and then one that was flirting with 4 and then a couple, 3 rats to go with it. And, we struck, that was it. We caught 5 keepers the whole night and that was it. I mean, it was absolutely brutal.
Which I want to say there was only a couple limits brought in, which
there were, but we didn't know that at, like we're out there fishing and like, you don't know what everyone's got, but luckily we ran into one guy, cause everyone was kind of fishing the same stuff. Right. So like somebody leave a spot, somebody pull onto it or whatever. And we kind of pull in next to this one dude. He was fishing out from where he wanted to be. So we were like really close together and we were just asking him how it was going. And
the good old Pinkalla freeze. She's back, baby. Back in full-fledged freeze mode.
God damn it. Anyway, we pull up to a guy that had done well out there in Panaprog, and he only had 2 fish, and it was just like almost at the end of the tournament. And he said he hadn't talked to anybody that had a limit yet.
Wow.
So we were like, okay, well that makes us feel better, And yeah, we came in and unfortunately we had a dead one, which knocked down our weight, but we didn't even lose a place because of it. Which is kind of how the weights were. So I think we ended up getting like fifth place or something like that in there. If we would, the dead one I think we had, I don't even remember the weight. I want to say we had like 10 something. And the guys that like we had to beat had just a few, like a quarter pound more than we did or something. So even if we wouldn't have had a dead one, we wouldn't have beat them. But
okay.
But it was tough. Yeah, I think like barely 13 pounds won the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think Steph and Rich only caught 2 bass.
Yeah, and they were small. I think they had like 2 pounds or something.
Like 2 pounds.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like it was not good, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, Sobi, I don't know if you saw the final points tally, but you guys almost barely snuck into the championship too.
Yeah, I know.
Of that finish.
Yeah.
Steph we thought you guys were she's loaded, like, we got like 12th or 13th. I'm like, what? She's like, we caught 2 1-pounders. I didn't catch a bass. I was like, no. And I was about to be like, Rich, what are you doing?
Yeah, because
you just ruined my whole body of work. You live
You live in Lakeville.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you guys
5 minutes away.
You guys didn't even need to do good to stay in. You just had to like not be last.
Not be last, and they got pretty close to last, but they didn't get last. So kudos to them for holding it up.
Yeah, I think you guys, Sobi, I think you ended up being the 5th seed in the championship, weren't you? Or were you still
we
fourth?
Were 4th.
But you were a couple points from Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we ended up in 6th overall, I think.
Yeah, we did. But anyways, sorry to cut you off, Sobi. So end of Tourney Tuesday and Lahamadou. So how was that?
Kind of a bummer for you guys. Like the lake that got picked at the end of the year for Tourney Tuesday, the top 5 teams, they all put a lake name in the hat. It gets drawn out. And probably one of Pinkalla's favorite lakes got picked on probably our South Metro list. And that was a freaking bummer. You guys couldn't be there for that because that lake is tough as nails, but Pinkalla figured it out, and you guys do good out there. So I wish you would have been there for that. That was kind of a struggle.
It would have been very, very fun.
Yeah, against 4 other boats too.
Yeah,
I wish,
for sure.
I would have rather had you guys fish that derb, and I just been like, I want half the winnings. You'd have the spot. I'm just making it.
Been good. But anyway, so then we need to know. Obviously, you put out your video on Lahamadou. But
yeah, I
want to know a little bit about that experience of that tournament. I love Lahamadou is a blast. It really is. Like, and I don't know, Pink, have you been to Lahamadou before?
Yeah, I fished a couple tournaments out there actually.
I was gonna say, I thought you'd been out there. That chain is a riot.
Yeah, it was fun.
I feel like I'm the only person on planet Earth who had never been there. Everybody, I feel like, has fished out there, fished derbies out there. I've never been there, and it was freaking a cool lake, a cool chain, like deep, clear water, awesome weeds. Obviously, you can go flip, you can go fish deep, you can fish docks all day, you can go get greasy, you can go throw a giant hair jig and crush them. Like it's a sick lake. And yeah, I thought I had a pretty decent practice, but I did spread myself out, and I was, right on that bubble top. This is, I don't know how many boats are in it or whatever, 75, 70,
65, top 32.
Okay. The top 32 teams at the end of the year get to go on and fish for that brand new Skeeter bass boat, a brand new freaking rig. And it's like, dang, a 32 boat derb. Like, I just got to win that, but I got to make it there first. And the way it shook out, I ended up getting 29th in this tournament. And I like caught a 3-pounder on my last cast. Like, I was fighting till the freaking absolute end. I had some times when I was catching, I had some dead periods. I had some periods when I was running around when I should have been holding tight fishing docks, and I end up coming in, and people are like, you got it, you'll be okay, you're gonna make it.
Yeah,
you're in 30.
I feel bad because I was the one who was like, yeah, you're good.
It wasn't just you, it was like you were there.
Yeah, and Noah were telling you,
Noah,
like, you're good.
Joel, Noah's wife, like even Noah's wife Jenna, like she's seen a million Champions Tour events, and she kind of knows, like, yeah, you'd be okay or you wouldn't be okay. Everyone's giving me.
You were kind of on the bubble then for like points wise.
I was right on the bubble. I was literally bubble boy.
31st, I think, when we filmed
like
his
going
interview.
into the tournament, you mean?
Going into the tournament, I was in 31st. I come in at the end of the day, I'm in 29th place, like in that tournament. And I'm like, I think I might have done it. Like, I didn't get worse than 31st, and I don't know how them other guys did, but like,
right.
God dang it, I might have squeezed in there. And it was like, as they read off all the names, they didn't read my name off for the championship. I was like filming it, and all like Noah and Joel and all those guys around me, like, oh no. They like feel horrible, and they're all looking at me, and I'm like, no one look at me. No. It was like some sick dream. You wake up like, and you're just sweating in your bed, and it wasn't a dream. And it was just like, I was
Ask the Barb, the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. And also two of our co-hosts now have been the first person out of the championship this year. Sobi did it.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, 3 of us. We're really good at that, apparently, as a podcast, now that I think about it. Me and Pink did it for Tourney Tuesdays. Me and Voight did it for the team trail.
Yeah.
And Sobi did it for the Champions Tour.
Dude, and like,
Sobi, how many points out of it were you?
1 point. I got 33rd place. I ended up in 33rd place, and I was 1 point away from 32nd place. Literally, I did the math. I went home and I did the math, and I found the guys that were ahead of me, and I literally overlooked all their stuff, overlooked my stuff, make sure my weight was all perfect. I was like, dude, I'm this close. I have to dig into this. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was all legit.
I demand a recount.
It's all legit. All the places were legit. And I literally, like, had I caught like one more 1 pound, 6 ounce bass throughout the course of the whole year,
shit,
I would have moved me up like a point.
Like, God,
yeah, 1 pound bass. Now you know how much, like, that's what's crazy when I like film those is like guys lose a 1.5 pounder or something and they're like, oh, whatever. But then it comes down to the end of the year and you're like, fuck, I really wish I had that 1 pound 8 ouncer I lost by the boat on this lake a few weeks ago.
Yeah, like just totally sick to my stomach. But either way, that happened, and I feel hungrier than ever for it next year. And like I have to join it next year if they'll have me back and I can get in. Like it's the most freaking addicting format ever. And I'm not saying that Champions Tour pays me no money. I pay to be there. I lose money there. And this is me saying I think it is the coolest freaking tournament trail I've ever fished. And it will make me gray in my early 30s, but I'll love every second of it. It's so badass.
Yeah. So what I want to know is, like, now since you had been on Teal's podcast and everything talking about it, and you've heard us kind of all tell you what it's like, I guess, what's your one big takeaway from fishing those events? Like, I'd always preach to you, you don't have to be catching them all the time.
Yep.
You just need to have, I feel like having a good start is huge in those events. Like, if you get rolling, it just goes well. But I don't know, what was your thing that you kind of thought throughout the year, what you learned in it?
Yeah.
You had a good one. You got paid once. You finished middle of the pack once, and you had a really bad one.
Yep. I got the full kind of experience. I had a good one, a really bad one, and a middle of the pack one. And it was just before, like, let me adjust my light. Like, before, out of the, I don't know how many tournaments I've fished in my life, you go back and you think about like time management. Oh, maybe I should try there. This is just like time management on freaking steroids, and just picking your areas and your spots where you want to key in on. And just like, I think I know a lot more how I'm going to practice a little bit different that might pay dividends come Derby day. Like, if I find a couple good areas that I know I'm probably going to catch some bass at, find some areas close by there that I can maybe scrap, or figure out how to scrap close to those areas. Like, I would find good areas on these chain of lakes, and then you go fish these tournaments and they're like 2 mini derbs. They're like 2 mini Tourney Tuesdays, 3.5 hours and like 4 hours. And it's by the time you fish your first spot and get to it and make the run, you're an hour in. It's like, I can't run to the other side of the lake. It'll take me 30 more minutes. When I'm not catching bass in 30 minutes, 30 other dudes are catching bass in 30 minutes. And then the other 30 are also catching bass.
Yeah. So it's like, if you make that run, you better be on a school. Like,
yeah, you bet it better work. Like, it better work. And like, it was.
Do you feel it changes your strategy because like just catching is better than catching good ones?
A little, yes, a little bit.
But
I don't know. Like, but once you see it play out, you're kind of like, if I would have ran to these areas and I maybe would have not knocked the shoulders off them, but like, caught a decent amount of 3-pounders here, that fires you way up, because a 3-pound bass is as good as 3 1-pound bass. And that's like, that's part of it too. So I don't know. I'm still honestly reflecting on it, and it's a hell of a sport.
As filming it, I think Pink, like with time management, what happens to a lot of guys I see is they get addicted to their spot lock. So like they'll get to a spot and they catch one, they hit spot lock, and then they make 8 casts around the area. The guys who are really good, they hit spot lock, they cast back, don't get bit, they maybe cast again, otherwise they're moving. Because like if you have a school like the Champions Tour school, like the one I filmed Peters at that event, like he caught like, it might have been 12 to 16 of them in a row. Like that's a Champions Tour school. Like that's where you start raking and you make ground fast.
Right.
But otherwise,
like you get on some that you can beat them up quick.
It's everything. But you have to think of a weed line almost as dock fishing too. Like you just got to keep moving. Like that's the biggest thing. You got to fish fast, slowly. And that's what Noah Schultz is really, really, really good at.
Sure. Yeah, it's a learning I have a lot to learn, but it's made me so much better. Like just breaking down water, because like you're also forced. This is what I don't think gets talked about as much. Like these guys that make good decisions during the tournament, yes, it's amazing. But coming in as someone brand new, like if I was fishing a 5-fish derb, I might focus in on a little area or figure something a little out, and then maybe find a couple other sneak spots here or there, figure out this and that. Dude, for these Champions Tours events, you have to know the whole freaking lake. Like you do, like, or at least have to check it out, different sides of it, because it's like, you can't be screwed for one half of it. You can't be screwed for part of it. You don't know if they're going to make a neutral zone. Maybe they're going to make this part a neutral zone, and maybe they're going to cut this side off. Like, you don't know how they're going to split it. So you always feel like when you're on the water, like, I've not looked at enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough, which forces you just to keep looking.
You fish a bunch of stuff you typically wouldn't either. It pushes you out of your comfort zone big time.
Yep. Yeah.
I guess you won't know until you go back to like fish other stuff, but it seems like having done that, or like, you know, if you end up doing it again or whatever, like, and then going back to just fishing a regular 5-fish tournament, like, I feel like that's going to play in, like, you're going to have these new strategies that you didn't before, you know?
Yeah.
Like how that, like going from one league to another league to, you know, basically compete in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's really not the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not the same thing, but I also like you said, just get more confidence, be like, screw it. I'm going to go run over there, roll up there, hit those 4 docks in 5 minutes and get out of there. And sometimes I wouldn't do that in a 5-fish derb when it's like, I should have, dude. I could have popped a freaking 3-pounder off there really quick, go back out to your game plan. But I needed that fish. You know what I mean? Like, even being able just speeding up my game is really helping me, I think, because I am a hugely guilty of getting stuck on spot lock and just milking.
Yeah.
So then after Champions Tour, what'd you do over Labor Day and stuff? Anything cool happen for you, or just kind of hanging around?
Labor Day, we had a wedding, had my cousin's wedding, which was sweet. Steph and I, we actually went out fishing in the morning on Saturday morning before the wedding, and we beat on the fish because I like needed revenge. Like I after the Tourney Tuesday deal and the Champions Tour, like, I just wanted to go beat the living hell out of every fish in the world. So we did that a little bit. So that was fun. And then, we were just, it just comes to an end, the tournament season, which is good, but I'm excited for fall now that the like 100-degree days have finally left, which today would be the first one that's actually gone. I'm just like, I'm not built for 100 degrees. I'm really not.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I got you. Well, Pink, do you got anything you want to dive into that isn't your, I guess, your hunting part that we'll dive into in depth in a little bit, but anything else current event wise?
Well, yeah, I mean, I just got back from that trip, and honestly, the past 2 days, I felt like absolute shit. Like, I've been sick, dude. Like, I don't know what it is.
Is it because you like worked your ass off out there?
I don't know. I thought initially it was like super dehydrated or whatever, and I just needed to, you know, get back in the game. But dude, I've been like hacking up lung butter for 2 days nonstop, and it is just not good. So I don't know what's up, but hopefully today I felt a little bit better about the whole thing. But like yesterday, I was in rough shape, dude. I don't know what the hell was going on, but so hopefully that goes away. But yeah, right before that trip though, I finally got the boat all set up, all like new graphs on there and stuff. So looking forward to playing with that a little bit, maybe in the next week or so, and kind of getting things more set up and whatever. But no, it turned out good, and Matt crushed it. I had Waldron do that. I went over to his house and we knocked it out in one day pretty much, and he's dialed. I mean, he's got all the tools and everything to do it, so that was pretty sweet. Getting that all rigged up and getting all that old stuff off there and whatever. So no, it turned out super slick. It looks nice.
He did tell me, he called me. He was like, dude, we were really close with that charger that you sold him. He was like, we didn't look at how big it was to put in the back, but he's like, we had like maybe an inch of clearance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's an older boat, right? So it was like before they probably even had that shit. But like, it barely fit in there, I guess, but it did. So whatever.
But you're dialed.
There you go.
Yeah, it's got it all in there. I got everything. So the only other thing I want to do is put a new trolling motor on it. And then once I get the new trolling motor, then we'll swap it over to all lithium batteries for that.
Nice.
And then we'll be ready to rip.
That's awesome.
How about you, Adam? Current events. You were just rigging up some rods tonight. What are you doing?
Yeah, where are you going?
Well, so after the Pinkalla Derby, I haven't really been fishing in a while. I went up to Gull for some blackfish all-terrain stuff. That was super fun. I mean, if people haven't fished Gull, like, I think the reason I love gull is because you get in all these smallmouth derbies or summer Minnesota tournaments and you just glue a spinning rod in your hand at times. You get guilty of it. And the best part about gull is you can just go there, put a flipping stick on the front deck and go to town.
That's awesome.
And it is so much fun. So I went up there and did that. Then went to Lahamadou with Sobi was there as well. Filmed that. That was super fun because I was with the guys who were plowing them. So yeah, it was a great day for me. I saw so many fish catches. I also don't think I've been on the water in a day before where like in the morning I was in a sweatshirt and it was like 60 degrees. And then the afternoon, I think it was like 110 degree heat index. It was insane.
It was so hot, dude. It was insane heat, dude. It was the hottest thing in the world. It was freaking 100 degrees.
Yeah, it was unreal. And then after that, went up to the Team of the Year championship for the team trail and took photos and stuff. That was super sick because we went up to Dead Lake in Otter Tail County, and there's not been tournaments on that lake really, like a couple local clubbers and stuff. So no one really knew what to expect. And going into it, like I was talking to Joel and Jared and some of the guys, and they were like, man, it might be hard to get to 16 pounds. And after day one, 17 pounds was in like 11th.
That's crazy.
It was just sacks.
And dude, you by the way, you crushed some amazing photos from that. I've seen some of the photos shared around that you've shot. You've right place, right time, and you got the shot. Like you got some shots.
Oh, dude, it was so fun. DeMarkey gave me he let me use one of his long lenses that he uses for like birds and that sort of film.
Dude, he's got all the cool toys.
I know. I was, and he even told me, he's like, you need to get one of these. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, it was awesome. But yeah, somehow I pulled up to Joel when he caught the big fish of the tournament, and he was flipping an ounce and a half, ounce and a quarter weight into like a rice mat and set the hook. It ended up being like a 568, just rice gorilla.
It's freaking huge gorilla.
Yeah. So got photos of that getting ripped out, got to cover the whole event, which was awesome. And then got the coolest part of that whole thing was, so Hayden and Damien were they were tied for second or third, going into there for the Team of the Year race, and points count at the championship for making nationals. Well, after day one, they were in like 21st place. They had a bad first day. They had like 13 or 14 pounds.
Dang.
And day two, me and JP pulled up to them, and they had just caught a 4-pounder to get to 16. And then I was right place, right time again, filmed and shot photos of them catching a 5 that put them to 19. They ended up moving up to 7th in the tournament, I think, which put them in 2nd for Team of the Year standings and qualified for nationals. So I literally got a front view watching them doing that too.
That's sick. Yeah, that looked like a really cool tournament overall. Just so much rice. It seemed like just such a large, expansive, shallow body of water.
Dude, I texted Pink after, though. Like, if you want to go somewhere and teach someone to throw a frog, like,
that would be there's
a billion bass in that lake. Like,
really?
We just did a team trail recap show. I think it goes live tomorrow. But I asked Joel and Connor what they thought the last place check would be if Champions Tour went there, and they said 10th place would be 100 pounds. Like, no doubt in the mind.
What?
None.
That's nuts.
Dude, you can spin in a circle and throw and just catch 2-pounders. It is infested with bass.
Or a chatterbait.
Yeah, chatterbait, anything. Dude, it is literally infested with bass. There's bass everywhere. That's why it doesn't even matter that I talk about it. There are so many bass in that place. It is mental. Like,
that's cool.
We would realistically, I think someone could maybe beat Adam Rasmussen's 250-pound record there. There's that many bass in there. It's crazy.
That's sick. That's really
But then,
sick.
After that, went to the Champions Tour Championship and filmed. That's always super cool. I think I talk about it a lot. I think it's fun getting to film people on their best day, and you get to do that in all the Champions Tours and everything. But filming someone win a boat is crazy, man. Like it's crazy. And now I've got.
It wasn't the same guy that keeps winning.
Dude, I've now filmed. I was gonna add it up because I got a picture of Noah and I on the water when I was filming him at the end. But I now in like 4 years, I got to do the actual tally. But I believe I have personally filmed Noah win like $230,000 in Minnesota in the last 4 years.
That's absolutely insane.
So he's making some money doing it.
Yeah. And just like you get to see how he operates, you get to see how he breaks down water. Like he is a master. He's a master at five fish dirbs too, but like he is a master.
When does like a guy like that like move up to the next level or take a shot at like something?
I don't know. I kind of
not that he has to, not that he has to. He's doing good, but
and that's the thing. He was like, it's so hard to leave. It's like,
right.
You're making all that.
That's what I think too. Like why? Like why would he? Like why would he leave? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Like why would he? Like he can be in Minnesota and he's a pro fisherman, dude. Like he's a hammer. Like
but like I told him, I'm like, dude, you got to go while it's good. Like you're hot. If you want to give it a shot, go. Like you got to give it an opportunity. But that was the first event I've also filmed him where he blew the field away. Like all the others, Noah's known for like in the last hour catching up to people and figuring out the bite and then taking it in the last hour. This one,
he won
just
by like 20 pounds, right? Or something.
Yeah, dude, lack of a better term, he curb stomped everyone.
Yeah, but going into the second half, he was in second, going into
so he had a huge second period there.
Yeah, he's the only one who dude, he blasted them in the second half. We even had an hour where he didn't catch one, where he was just messing around with other stuff, and then he was like, "All right, I'm gonna go catch some," and then just kept catching them. It was nuts. The guy is on another level. It was so cool. But yeah, filming that's awesome. DeMarkey and Looters absolutely crushed that. I mean, it all comes together to be an amazing product. But I always say, I'm like, I am not the best videographer there. They're way more talented than me. I'm just good at putting the story together and everything. But it's super fun to do. So yeah, did that and then came home and I've literally been editing the last.
But bring us back to what we initially asked: is where are you going fishing? You're rigging up rods.
Yeah, you kind of dodged the whole fucking deal.
Yeah, I'm heading out to Green Lake. I'm heading out to Green Lake and Spicer for the Fall Classic. After Pinkalla went bad, I was like, I need to sign up for another tournament, and Alyssa wanted to fish one, so
she's
gonna fish her first tournament.
Can you put a GoPro? You got to run a GoPro.
Yeah, I'll have mine.
Not?
Yeah, I could maybe bring it. Yeah, I suppose I could maybe
if it's no good, you can just delete it. But like, dude, you might capture a sweet moment. You know what I mean? Like, what if Alyssa just pops a 4P and she's freaking out and you just have that clip?
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. So yeah, I think it'll be cool because that's why I'm heading out. Like I was trying to get rods rigged and I'm heading out tomorrow is because this tournament isn't for like all the money in the world or anything, but since it's her first one, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go put in like effort.
Yeah,
especially since I haven't fished much lately. I just want to go fishing.
You realize though that if she catches them and you don't, you will never live this down.
I know, and it's bound to happen. It's like when Sobi brought Steph in the boat.
It's like my every week. It's fine.
I could just see that though. I could just see that though. You're kind of in a rut, having kind of a tough year or whatever, and she just pulls up and blasts their brains out. And she's gonna be like, "I don't know why you think this is so hard."
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be it. I'm gonna like find these fish in practice and be like, "Oh, I'm catching them doing this." She's gonna be dragging a goddamn Ned rig out of the back of the boat, just freaking stroking them. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But no, it'll be really cool. I'm really excited for it. She's pumped. Well, it was supposed to be like really great weather, so like she ordered like a Blackfish UPF shirt, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like looking at the forecast on like Tuesday, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's gonna rain now." So then she orders like a rain suit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like looking at it now and I'm like, oh, it might not rain. I don't know. But then the funniest thing, Sobi, was you know how like you forgot your life jacket for I think it was a Blackfish the one year and you wore the orange one.
Yeah.
The big everybody knows the orange one. It's like $10 or whatever you get from Fleet Farm. Her biggest concern was she does not want to wear a big bulky gross life jacket at blast off.
Because she wants to look
well,
good.
I only have like my one Mustang one. Like that's all I got. So then she literally went on Amazon and ordered like a nice one. Because she was like,
she's got it. She's like, I'm not looking to fool.
Like, I am.
Yeah. She's like,
you got to show her that video that I'm wearing the one.
Yeah, I have to show it. But yeah, so she got it all dialed. She'll show up Saturday afternoon after work, and hopefully we can put a few together. But yeah, that's all I got going on now. I'm just a bunch of editing.
That's awesome.
Sick.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Should be fun getting into it. But now we will dive into what in the world is going on. So this is for those of you who are new. We just did current events. That's talking about what's going on in our lives, what in the world is going on. We tend to bring in a few articles of what's going on in the outdoor world, or maybe just the world in general that we want to talk about. So, Pink, you got something you want to lead us off with?
I do. And I had one that happened last week, and then something extremely similar happened like yesterday or the day before. And so I was just like, whatever, I'll just use this one. It's the same. People at Yellowstone are fucking stupid. Okay. Like the national park. And it's been going.
Are you talking the visitors?
Recently. Yes. And like I would say the past 2 months I'm sure that's like kind of their highest, I would say like probably like peak tourism season, right? It's kind of the second half of summer, I think. And, so like, I'm sure you've seen it. It's been all over the news all the time. People are talking about getting attacked by this or that, having close calls with like elk and bears or whatever. Right. And last week there was some deal with these bears. People were like running after these like sows with cubs and stuff, which is obviously a very stupid idea. If you're considering doing that, you should not do that. Okay. And I'm sure there's like a little pamphlet that you get there that probably says like, don't chase after bears with that, at all, really anywhere. But so anyway, that was the one that I had, but then this one popped up today and I was just like, well, I'm going with this one then. So I sent you guys the picture of it because the picture that they posted with the headline is just beautiful. Of this dumbass that decided he was going to try to get close to this bull bison.
Oh. And
it, like you can see in the picture, it literally just like is pinning this dude to the ground with its like head. and so there's a video that these people like were getting too close to it, obviously. And like, you can see like the other guy that's walking up there already has like a broken arm, like before he's even approaching the bison, like he's in like a sling. And anyways, the people that were filming this were just like other people in their car or whatever that were like watching this happen. And they like know what's about to happen. So they're like filming it and the guy's doing the whole like planet Earth, like here we have a bull bison. Yeah. And then it fucks this guy up and they're like commentating the whole thing. Like no one's helping him at all. They're just like, this guy is a complete idiot. Like, I hope this goes south. And then the Yellowstone like tourism like Instagram like posted this, like making fun of the guy, but they were like, but he's okay. He's okay. But anyway, so like I don't know why it's getting like more and more common that people are just being super stupid or like they think these animals like this is like the zoo or something, but it's like not. It's literally a national park and these animals are like wild animals and they like do not give a shit about people. Like
no.
Like they anyway, so whatever. This keeps happening with elk and bison and bears over there, and no one learns. I just think it's ridiculous. Like I would never go to Yellowstone and just expect that I'm just gonna go like walk up to shit and be like taking selfies with bull bison and stuff. Like,
Dude, a bull bison is so big, anyone in their right mind wouldn't get close. Like,
no, they said the bull in this picture is like 2,000-pound bull bison.
Size of my truck, dude.
Yeah, and like you can see the guy.
Literally,
you can see
you
the
have
guy
a half-ton truck. So
yeah, you're right. It's not the size of my truck.
Yeah, and this guy that's getting pinned to the ground does not appear to be someone who could square up to a bison. Okay,
I love how the first line.
Are you gathering that from the fact that he's absolutely pinned to the ground right now by a bison?
Yeah, I'm surprised
it
didn't blow his
demeanor.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't blow his Jordans off on his way out there.
In the words of JB, Destroyed.
Oh my god. But anyway, it never ceases to amaze me how stupid people get, especially like around wild animals. Like they just don't get it. It's it never gets old either.
You, Mr. Bull Bison Boxing
Yeah.
Man. Mr. Bull Bison Boxing Man. Jordan 3's got 3 scuffs on it before the fight. But we know what happens.
You got to think the people that work at Yellowstone eat this up.
Oh, absolutely, dude. That's
like the park rangers.
Dude, they gotta have a tally behind the scenes of like, what type of attack
there's
it is
a scoreboard,
today, or like whatever.
Yeah,
there's side bets. There's
a lot
bets.
of money changing hands behind the doors at Yellowstone. I wonder, can you bet on stuff like that?
Oh, you got to be like
probably not in Vegas, but I'm sure they got a board going.
Maybe you can though. Maybe you can. Maybe we should look into that. We'll look that up. Write that down.
We'll look into that. Yeah, write that down. New pass the Barb idea.
We'll have some betting lines.
Sobi, you got anything?
Yeah, I came across this article and I stopped on it, especially because like I was thinking about Pinkalla was just out in Nebraska and doing their deal. They were mule deer hunting, and then I was wondering, okay, they got 3 dudes. I don't know how many they're gonna kill. Are they just gonna chuck them in the back of somebody's truck? Or are they gonna do the old school Wisconsin, throw it on the back of their truck deal? And that's what kind of made me stop on this article. Police stopped Nebraska man for bucking the law with a bull riding shotgun in his car, and it's literally a giant full grown bull strapped in this man's car. And
the picture's extraordinary.
Raymond said we didn't have full understanding of it until we saw the car that Lee Meyer has driving in the Parades Cross area for years has half the windshield and roof removed to make room for his bull named Howdy Doody to ride along. A yellow metal cattle gate serves as the passenger side door, allowing for the, what is it, a Watisha bull to be tied up, and the set of horns serves as a hood ornament. Incredible. And this is like a sedan, mind you. This is a Ford Crown Victoria sedan with a bull riding shotgun. It's just incredible.
Incredible. I can't even imagine that the car can support that, but well done. I mean, that's a custom
I love the little
lean
to the side that you can see in the picture.
It's an incredible.
A little heavy on one side.
I would like to know the loading and the unloading process. Like, how does he?
Oh my god!
I don't know. It's just incredible. And this thing is giant. It's giant. So that was a Nebraska man that I kind of tipped my cap at, especially thinking about you boys down there hunting.
Oh my!
You're just
god.
thinking, you're like, I wonder if they drove by him. There can't be that many people in Nebraska.
I can't say I saw that. I did not see that, but it wouldn't have surprised me.
No, dude. Like, how many Ford Crown Victoria sedans modded out with a bull gate are there in Nebraska?
Yeah, I don't know. I bet it's not one.
Could you imagine?
No, it's probably not one. That's the weird part.
What if you got in a car accident with that thing? Like, what happens?
Yeah. I guarantee the bull would be fine.
Probably, yeah. Oh, how about you, Adam? Anything good?
So I got mine. I was gonna do something else, but then all of a sudden, all the major tours started releasing their schedules for the next year. So
yeah,
I got the Elite Series and the BPT release their schedules, and I thought it was kind of intriguing how different it seems the two organizations are taking the approach to their schedules. In my opinion,
let me pause you there. Do you have a picture of the BBT? I just want to like look at it to reference.
I can here. I'll text them to you guys quick. Someone take so there's no dead air while I do this.
What I'd like to know is there any dates that overlap or is the BBT way earlier again, like it has been in the past?
How many guys are actually fishing both or attempting to? Anyone?
I know Poche did. I don't know if Cox was Cox. I don't think Cox fished the BPT this year.
I don't know. He fished 2 somethings.
Yeah, he did that before. I think he fished.
No, I mean this year he did 2. I don't know if that's what it was, but he did 2. Because he did the elites and something else. Because he was fishing a lot of times right before an elite event.
Okay, I got that. So I just sent you guys the BPT, and then I'll send the elite schedule quick.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that. I saw the elite one. Yep. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
so diving in, so like the BPT and so Bass Pro Tour starting off in January down on Toledo Bend, which is interesting because the Elite Series is also starting on Toledo Bend. But
do they not coordinate with each other probably at all?
No, absolutely not. But then BPT goes to Santee Cooper at the end of February, which could be really, really, really good or really bad. Red Crest at Lay Lake will be very intriguing in March. See better fishing than you did for the Elite Series event. Dale Hollow, that will be very, very cool.
That will be cool.
Because Dale Hollow has so for people that don't know, Dale Hollow had the world record smallmouth, and it has a ton of big smallmouth in it. But you can only, I should have looked into this before, but I think you can only keep one above like 21 inches regularly, or one over 18 it might be. I don't know the exact regulations, but when you see typical events there, they don't play because of the slot. The way it is, it's kind of like back when Mille Lacs had its slot, and you'd see largemouth win because like you couldn't do the smallmouth. But with the Bass Pro Tour, they weigh their fish on the boat, so you can.
So this will probably be like one of the only tournaments that has
could be record-breaking smallmouth weights down there.
Well, it'll be April 9th through 14th.
Individual.
It'll be intriguing because they're probably going to be on beds or pre-spawn. So that'll be intriguing. But then they go to Eufaula, Oklahoma, which has had some events this year, which will be cool. Then they go they go to the Kissimmee chain. So they're going to Florida in May, which we'll see kind of a common theme with the Elite Series. They're getting out of going to Florida first. And then the real weird one is they're going to the Chowan Reservoir in North Carolina. Have you heard anything about that, Sobi?
No, dude, nothing.
I don't even know where it is. So
I have no idea where it is.
I listened to a podcast.
Cool. That'll be like a wild card.
Yeah, apparently it's posting or pumping out like 25-pound bags. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, wow.
And then June 25th, 30th at the James River. That will be one of the hottest tournaments probably ever had on record in terms of literal heat. That will be crazy. And then August, they end up at the St. Lawrence. But a lot of diversity, I think, in their schedule. New places, like just kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, it is cool.
I think it's a cool schedule. A lot of differences and everything. But then we go over to the Elite schedule that just got released, and just going through it quick. We got end of February. They're going to Toledo Bend and Lake Fork back to back, which those are going to be unbelievable heavy hitter events. Bassmaster Classic down at Grand Lake. And then in April, they're doing their Florida swing. So mid-April, they're going to Harris Chain and the St. John's at the end of April, which I'm very intrigued about. I think that's going to be very interesting because that place in general is very interesting. Then back to Murray, which Murray this year for that elite event was sick with all the different type of shad spawns and everything they got going on. June, Wheeler Lake, end of June, Smith Lake, which I'll talk about in a sec. But then they're ending with Champlain and the St. Lawrence, which I feel like they do every single year now. So that's just the way that is. But something you may not think of, and so you know this from being down south a bunch, that June 27th to 30th, that is a weekend before July 4th, and it is on Smith Lake in Alabama. Can you imagine what the boat traffic's going to be like
Party
there?
Central?
It's going to be nuts. Like, it's Smith Lake. Like,
and dude, that place is like, it's not like wide. It's a lot of long, narrow arms. And you come around corners hot and everything. That's going to be very interesting. I don't know how that's going to go.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the dates.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I think the thing that's most interesting about it, we're not going to dive into the whole world right now is in a live scope debate, and we're not going to get into that because I think it's stupid. But I think it's funny that Bass's schedule, if you look at this Bass Elite schedule, it is live scoping 101. That whole schedule.
I think they're just taking it. I think they're just taking it in stride because they're just going to be like, let's just get fat weights.
Grand Lake in March, yeah.
Like I think that's where they're going because
maybe
this year
not. But Grand maybe not, and St. John's I don't really know. And
but Murray for sure, Wheeler for sure,
maybe.
Smith for sure, Champlain for sure.
The others are 100% live scope events.
Yeah,
wow. Like Texas will be a live scoping. I mean,
but
like Milliken
can you blame them with how the season ended this year with posting some of the biggest like deep field weights ever?
No, I don't blame them at all. But
I mean, seriously,
the consumer being like, "This is boring," they're like, "Screw that."
A day?
Yeah.
You know?
No, the bags are going to be enormous. It's just going to be live scoping 101, which
I'm excited to watch the first one, Toledo Bend in February, and
and Fork in February, dude.
It's going to be nuts.
What I'm curious about the most though is to see how they change, like how live coverage sets up now with how much scoping they're going to be doing.
They're going to change it. I hope.
That's what I mean. They're going to change it, but I'm wondering like how. Like it's going to have to be better. They're not just going to roll how it is because people are.
Well, and I know that like with Lowrance and Garmin, I would imagine next year their units will have updates. So it's like Hummingbird's Apex units where you can plug an HDMI in and then actually show the screen. Yeah.
That would be sick. I would watch that.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be the number one change. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Ben Milliken had to have seen that schedule coming out and been like, oh my God, I need to be in the Elite Series because those first two events in Texas, like,
yeah. Well, and dude, he loves Grand Lake too. So just like I know he's not going to the Classic, but like maybe he might.
Yeah, he is.
You're right. Oh my God, you're right. He is.
Classic. He won.
You're right.
He won the Toledo Bend Open.
And
they're going to Toledo Bend more in his realm.
Dude, but he loves Grand Lake, I think.
Yeah,
he likes Grand.
Like I said, it's very cool because it's going to be scoping, but the events like I saw one of the bass writers was commenting somewhere, and they were talking about Fork, and they were saying how many Century belts you think will be handed out at the end of February on Fork with live scope now, and they said 7 or 8.
Jesus,
and I don't doubt it,
dude. I know that we aren't going to get into this whole live scope thing, and it's a red hot topic right now. But I was thinking about this the other day when I saw this come out, and not that I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'm like for getting rid of it or whatever. But I did think, what if? Just hear me out on this. Here's a hot take for you. What if some of these tournaments here? So you know how you get like a boat draw, right, for all these or whatever. Yeah. What if they had a thing like kind of like that? But it was like, you know how on like your phone for your kids, you can like set their screen time and shit. What if you had like, you know what I mean? Like they said, okay, like each guy, somehow they could regulate, like you have, 3 hours that you can use scope for the day, and you have to select when you're going to use it. Or like, you could, what I'm saying?
That would actually be awesome.
So then after that, you're out. Like, that's it. It doesn't even work anymore. I don't know how they would make that happen.
Like you said, screen time for your kids, how badass would that be? Someone's like chasing a giant out
Zona's,
deep, and then all of a sudden
Welcher's
it just
got
goes
5
off.
minutes left.
And Zona's like, oh, boom. Get over here.
And there's like a little thing in the corner on live, like counting down. Like that would be wild, dude. Like I think I know Bass is listening to this right now, so
yeah,
here we go. Get that on.
Yeah, screen time. That would dude, it'd be so good. The drama would be insane.
It would like add this extra like factor to it, but it wouldn't eliminate it entirely. But it's like, okay, you can use it. So the guys that are good are gonna have to like make hay in their like screen time.
Yeah, it's no more 8 hours just scoping around looking for that bite. Like you got to go to an area where they're at, because I think that's where people's most complaints were. We're at Champlain, where like for 5 hours you had guys just standing there with a rod in their hand, trolling motor on 10, just looking for a fish. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, this is fairly boring right now, but I get it. Like, that's what you do to win. But that is a very good idea. That is an idea I have not heard, Pink. And that is a very good idea. Yeah.
Count it. You'll see it.
Okay. You'll see it. That's a little bit of what in the world is going on. But now we will move on to Pinkalla. So we will see if his Wi-Fi holds for this whole thing. But Pink just got back from a pretty epic hunting trip. And I know people, listeners to this show, when we first started last year, they love listening to the hunting talk. And we're getting into that season now, which I know literally nothing about. So, Pink, how did the Nebraska trip go? What was it like?
Hold on. I'm jumping in here.
Yeah, you take over, Sobi.
This is totally Pinkalla's realm. This is his story, but I would just like to prelude this story that Pinkalla and two absolute characters embarked on a Nebraska hunt. And let me just introduce the two characters. Character number one, Matt Waldron, luscious, beautiful, semi-orange beard, fairly new to the bow game, but just a character nonetheless. And then when he gets with Ryan and then this other character, JB, Justin Bergeron, it's going to be chaos in the making, and it's good chaos. If I had been there just to record or just to be a fly on the wall, not even record, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for the truck ride out, for the hunting and everything in between, because just picture just three cartoon characters off on a wild adventure. And that's JB, Waldo, and Ryan.
It really was.
I gotta bring this up quick too before we dive into this, because we figured this out on New Year's this year. I don't know if you ever heard this story, but did you know that Andrew Spock Osowski, one of our great buddies, who has been best friends with Waldo since he was like 13, probably since they've been really young, did you know that he had Matt saved in his phone for the last 15 years as Matt Waldrum with an M?
No.
And if you listen the last 15 years, whenever he said Waldron, he said Waldrum.
You're lying.
I always just thought like it was just the way he talked. But then we had him call Waldo, and we looked at his phone, and we were like, why do you have it spelled like that?
That's literally not correct.
It's Matt Waldrum.
And they're like,
that's
they've
his
been
name.
like,
I'm like,
they work together.
They've been epic long best friends. Like, they've been good best buddies for freaking like you said, probably better part of 2 decades.
Matt Waldrum. He had it as an M. I'm sorry. Every time I hear Waldron now, my head goes Waldrum.
Waldrum.
I love that.
I don't think this isn't on Andrew. Matt can change it.
I just don't understand how we let it slide for 15 years and nobody figured it out.
Because everyone's just like, whatever.
Until this year, it was so great. We're at his house for New Year's. It was so good. Anyways, Pinkalla, take it over. I'm sorry.
All right, take it
away. Yeah. So normally, like, I am not going to. This was actually the first time I've ever hunted in Nebraska. So I've driven through it plenty of times on the way to other places, but never went on a trip there. So yeah, this was like a new deal. Normally I'm out antelope hunting this time of year, but I'm not. Took a year off of doing that, just with kind of how things played out. I've been going to South Dakota, and the animals just got hard winter out there, and just the numbers are way down, and the way the tag thing is out there, they're making a lot of changes. So just kind of like, I'm just gonna let that mellow kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and those guys actually came out last year to do that when I was there, but we didn't really hunt together. I mean, we kind of like planned a trip, and they hunted the same general area, but like it wasn't like a group trip or anything. So yeah, and I have never hunted with either of these guys for anything ever. So I was like, all right, let's just see how this goes. And I knew it was going to be interesting, just like, cause like Matt's super new to it. So I knew he was going to have like a totally different view on things. And so I think he just started hunting this past fall, literally.
Yeah. And
we got invited down to hunt on this private ranch, which was super cool. So the Cox family, who we know like through Clam,
but it's not like some high fence ranch. It's not like they got trophy. No, it's just a beef ranch, right?
They're a cattle ranch, like their family. That's what they do. It's a cattle ranch. And they love to hunt. They do a ton of hunting out there. They rifle hunt. And they have it was sick. They have 10,000 acres of land out there, and it's like, dude, there's nothing out there, man. Like this is like the Sandhills region of Nebraska, and from driving through it, like I flew my drone around the whole thing, and I'm like, holy shit, this is not where you go bow hunting. It's like the general vibe of the place. But
what was the landscape like?
So
you were telling me beforehand, you were like, I thought the funny thing is you did the OnX scouting before you went, and you were talking to me on the phone, and you're like, Bart, I'm like 90% sure there's not one fucking tree. Like anyway,
there's not.
I don't think there isn't. And then you got down there and flew, and what'd you run into?
I was like, I apparently am very good at OnX scouting, is what I've determined, because I was correct. And there's a tree row right by their house, to probably keep the snow from drifting super bad. And that's it. I mean, there is not another tree. There's not a bush anywhere.
Wow.
I mean, it is just grass forever. And that's it.
Do they say, is it windy all the time out there? Or is it not bad?
I think I think it's fairly windy, normally. I mean, they didn't really specify, I guess, but while we were there, I mean, every day it was, blowing 15, 20.
One tree.
Dude, there ain't shit. I mean, it is just wide open, and it's not like there's a lot of steep elevation or anything. It's just these rolling kind of hills all over the place, and it's just prairie basically forever.
Wow.
And all
Nebraska.
the adjoining and all the adjoining properties are pretty much the same. I had to drive on my way home. So when I drove there, I drove all of that stuff in the dark. So I didn't even get to see it until day one of the hunt. And then on my drive home, I drove in the day, mostly in the day. So I got to see a lot of that stuff on my way out. And I think I drove probably 30 or 40 miles before I even got into where there started being bushes and stuff.
Wow.
And then there's some brushy draws or whatever, but there's no blocks of woods or anything anywhere. So it is just complete open prairie grass and sand everywhere. And then everything is sand. It is not a hospitable environment for things. So all over their property, they have windmills everywhere with little tanks in front of them. So there's just little water troughs all over, and that's what the cattle were drinking out of and stuff and whatever. So essentially, so we get out there Thursday night, season opens Friday. So we're hanging out with basically the Cox family the whole time. And we got there, they gave us a truck to rip around on the ranch in, and they're just pretty much drive wherever and do this whole thing. And they kind of just cut us loose out there and just said, here, we got a little bit of direction on here's where we see deer normally and this kind of thing, but we just kind of went out there and just started glassing them up. And
which I would assume is half the fun and kind of what you wanted.
It is.
Yeah, you don't you being a super advanced hunter, you don't want to be brought right to the freaking pot of gold. You enjoy the go get them.
It was kind of feeling out this new place, new terrain and everything, right? So you're kind of trying to get a vibe for okay, how early in the day are they moving? How long are they on their feet? Kind of getting a feel. It's day one was kind of scouting mission, right?
Yeah.
Let's just see if we can find some easy. Is it really hard to find them? How far are they going? Well, it was very clear that this was not going to be super easy day one, because we didn't really see a lot of deer activity. And it was super hot. The first day, I think it got up to 100 degrees. And then every day after that, it was forecasted to be even hotter. 100 to 105 was what was forecasted each day. And then it was supposed to be blowing 15 miles an hour the first couple of days. And then it was supposed to ramp up to 40 mile an hour winds. And we were kind of oh, that might make it challenging, especially bow hunting, right? Because that would definitely limit how far you can shoot.
Yeah.
So we're kind of, all right, we definitely want to try to get something done here. And yeah, I mean, I did film a ton of stuff, luckily, because there was a lot of good stuff that happened out there. So, but I'll kind of boil down some of the highlight moments here. But there's a couple really good. So for the first day, not a lot happened. I mean, we drove around, we kind of got our legs underneath of us, found some deer. I think we got eyes on like 2 small bucks in the morning and nothing crazy. So Waldo got on a stalk kind of towards the end of the day one, and that did not pan out. He ended up getting a couple shots off on this whitetail doe out in the middle of a hayfield that just didn't connect on, and whatever. And it was funny because it was pretty close to like where the house was. So we pretty much all were sitting out just watching this happen.
That's the worst. That's the worst when you got when you just got eyeballs on you. Like it
right,
makes it more nerve wracking.
Right. So I mean that was fun to like
nobody
watch.
Look at me.
Yeah. So
there's no trees or anything, so you can see forever. I'm sure just watching him do it.
He missed.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it went down. It was fun to watch it all play out or whatever, and it was super hot. So he came back and he's all sweaty and like kind of over that deal. And then we're driving like back towards the house. So we're like right down the road, the gravel road from the house, basically. And then we're driving back towards the house, and JB's like, dude, there's a deer right there. He's like, I'm going after it. Okay. So I just pull the truck over and he just jumps out. Like we didn't even go back to like see, get glass on it again. He was just like, oh no, it's right there. I know where it's at. I'm going. Okay. Boom. So he just jumps out of the truck and takes off. And he like runs across the road and he's like going through the grass and going towards this thing. And he's like, it's only like 200 yards away or something. And he's putting the moves on, getting all sneaky or whatever. Well, so there's like 3 houses on the ranch, like various people in their family live in. And we're literally parked right in front of one of the houses. Okay. And like the deer is across the road.
Yeah.
And me and Waldo are sitting in the truck and we can't see where this deer is, but he's like, he saw it and he's making moves. So he's to the point now where he's kind of in like the red zone of the stock. He's like getting real serious and like getting low. And
can you see him at this point?
Yes, we can see JB super clear. But he's getting into like where, this deer should be. Next thing we know, I look over and there is this ginormous black lab running across the front yard from the house towards the road. And I was like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And he is like, looks like the friendliest dog in the world. And I was like, oh God, this is not going to be good. And Waldo's like, oh my God. And so Waldron jumps out of the truck and like intercepts the dog. Okay. So he's like petting him and this dog's like licking all up on him and shit. And we're like, oh, dodged a bullet there,
Yeah.
And JB's out there like, he has no idea that this is like happening. Right. And he's sneaking. Yeah. And he comes out from behind this clump of grass. Okay. JB does, like, to our view, he's kind of like behind some shit. And he comes out the other side and the dog locks on him. And this dog is probably like 120-pound lab, like a big boy. And he just tears out of Waldron's arms in a dead run, hauling ass through this grass. So JB is like closing in on this deer. And all of a sudden, this dog comes running up behind him. And he looks back at us like, what the fuck is going on? Because now he's got this black lab in front of him. And it's like all like, jumping up and stuff. And he's still trying to be quiet. Well, now, so, when like you're stalking an animal or whatever, you're trying to keep the wind like in your face so that it's not like blowing towards them. And he had the wind good, but now the dog is smelling the deer or whatever because he's downwind of it. So the dog starts like zigzagging like he's, hunting like out in front of him, like you would hunt for like pheasants, So now the dog goes into hunt mode. And I give full credit to JB on this because I probably wouldn't have done the same thing. But he was like, he just went from like, oh shit, this is probably going to blow up to like, I'm deer hunting behind a dog now, I guess. And he just like took off running behind the dog with his bow. Like, cause he's like, the dog's gonna jump this deer.
Yeah.
And so he's like running after it with his bow now. He's like running through the grass. And he gets up there and we're like, what is going on? And then next thing we know, he's like turning around, walking back towards us. And we're like, oh, okay. And he takes like 2 or 3 steps. And then we see this whitetail jump out of the grass and it's like bounding behind him. Right. But he's looking at us now. So we're like, what the hell just happened? Like, I swear to God, like he must have been like right on top of this thing and he must not have wanted to shoot or something. So he gets back there And he's like, we're all kind of chatting like, oh, that was crazy, dude. Like this dog just came out of nowhere and blew up your whole thing or whatever. And he's like, yeah, dude, I got in there and I just came like eyeball to eyeball with this antelope in there. And we're like, what? And he's like, yeah, dude, it was an antelope. So like, I couldn't like shoot or whatever, And we're like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, yeah, dude, it was like 20 yards. Like I was looking right at it. I just like didn't want to shoot it. Like obviously, because we only had deer tags anyway. But then we're like, dude, I seen the deer run away. Like I'm 100% sure that
was
like,
a deer.
So now for like the rest of the day, we're arguing about like he's like, no, dude, it was an antelope. I swear to God. And like, and we're like, I literally seen this deer run away. So unless there was an antelope that just like stayed there, and then this deer ran away that you never saw, that was in the same place. But he's taking it to the grave, dude, that he was like on this antelope. Because then that night we're at the ranch with them and everyone's having a few beers or whatever. And we're kind of recapping this story and he was sticking to his guns, man. Like
what did the cock say? Are they like, yeah, we have a lot of antelope out here? Or
they
no?
don't. There are some, but like but yeah, they were eating it up, dude. That story went around the horn a couple times that night. That
yeah, I mean, you're an antelope hunter, Ryan. Do they sit and stay at 20 yards?
I'm not going to say it. Well, here's what I said.
Book it?
Here's what I'm going to say. I said this that night too. I said, Justin, I'm not gonna say that you're lying about it, but there definitely was not an antelope
there. You called me a liar? I did not say that.
But there definitely wasn't.
There definitely wasn't an antelope. Oh, God.
So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, day one was kind of a cluster, and it was a good time. I mean, we were chilling, everyone was having a good time, a lot of laughs, and they got this ranch is big, and there's a bunch of areas of it that have a bunch of like prairie dog towns and stuff. So when stuff got slow, we went over there and we ripped some rounds and hunted down a few prairie dogs.
That's awesome.
Which was kind of fun to do. I mean, they have a ton. That's the other thing. It's like there's literally thousands of them. So it was like unbelievable to like even just see that many. But we were only planning on being there. So the season opened Friday. So September 1 was like opening day of deer season. And I was only planning to be there through Tuesday. So as of yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think those guys had kind of like scheduled like, hey, they're going to stay till Wednesday, depending on how things go, kind of thing. So like, I figured like the first 2 days were just kind of like feel things out and then like kind of dig in and really try to like get something shot. And that particular tag is cool. I know we were talking about this last time, but it's an any deer tag. So like you could hunt whitetails or mule deer and you could get a buck or a doe.
That's cool.
So yeah, so it was kind of like open season kind of thing. So it gave you a lot of options, right? And going into it, I was kind of like, I definitely want to see if I can get a buck killed. I mean, it's not like the end of the world. Like I just kind of wanted to like punch a tag too and get some meat and stuff. But being that, we got invited out to some private ground or whatever, it was like, all right, let's give it an honest effort to like try to find a good one. And
find something
and that's
big.
Yeah. And so yeah, that first evening, we glassed around. And there's like one little spot on their property that had kind of like a irrigated field on it. So there was a lot of, deer using that late in the day, and spotted a pretty good buck out there, and some other small bucks too, but one that I was very interested in that I was like, all right, let's figure out how to get him,
Yeah.
Nice big 4x4 mule deer, and all the bucks were still in full velvet, which was super cool. And yeah, so that night, and this was cool too. So one of the guys out there, one of the Cox guys, he has got all kind of different guns, right? So he'd be like, oh, just ride around with this one in the truck in case you want to like shoot prairie dogs or something. And that first day,
I bet they got guns.
Oh yeah, and they do a ton of like coyote hunting and stuff. So I was like, yeah, cool, we'll mess around. So we're riding around with this one rifle in there. So after it got dark, we were kind of like, oh, let's see if there's any like coyotes around or whatever,
Yeah.
And the one rifle that he had like one of those thermal scopes on it.
Oh.
So like you can see everything at night. Like it's incredible. I've never really messed around with one of those before. But after it got, so we were deer hunting like all day, it got dark, and then we're like, all right, let's just like look around and see if there's any coyotes out here. Because they were telling us, oh, the coyotes get on this, this field at night. Well, so I turn on like the scope or whatever, and I'm just kind of using it to like look around. Well, I didn't realize this, but so like, because there was, now it's dark, like we can't see what's going on. There were some deer on the field. Okay. So it's like you could see them through this thermal scope really good. But because all the bucks were in full velvet and they still have blood in their antlers, you could like see their rack and everything in the thermal scope, which was incredible.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah. So like the way the scope was, it's like everything's white, right? And then like all the like heat signatures are black. So it was literally just like a deer and like its entire rack. Like you could see every tine and everything.
That's so cool.
It was wicked, dude. I've never seen anything like it. But that was kind of a cool thing to like see or whatever. And there were coyotes around and stuff too. But yeah, it was kind of badass to see that. And then day 2, we go back to the same where we were that night, and we end up seeing that big buck again in the morning. And he was like going up this hill to go bed, and he had a couple does with him. And I don't know, we kind of came to the conclusion after that morning that was like, if you see one, you pretty much have to go after him immediately, because it was so hard to put him to bed because the deer were like moving so far. It's like in a lot of places you'll hunt, especially mule deer. It's like if you glass them up in the morning, like they'll move, like they'll go from like where they're feeding to like where they bed. And, you know, sometimes it's a few hundred yards, sometimes it's a half mile, whatever, you know, a mile, whatever it is. These deer were moving like miles, multiple miles, unpressured. Like they would just get up in the morning and just go like over the horizon for no apparent reason. And it really didn't click with me like that was how this was going to play out. So then kind of what we decided was, okay, if we see a buck that we want to go after, as soon as he's like say he crests a hill, we just need to go. We just need to try to get on them while they're still on their feet, and hopefully we can see where they bed or just stay with them or whatever. So that was kind of our game plan after that. And you know, we tried that a couple times, and we ended up losing the deer and busting them later. Like we tried to stick with them, and they got down in somewhere, and we walked up on them and blew them out, and you know, just part of the game. And yeah, day 2 was when we actually got our first one killed. So Waldron punched his tag day 2. We're kind of like we're using the truck to drive to another part of the ranch, and we're just driving, and we see one out the window, like literally this deer standing like 70 yards away, and it's kind of behind the bait, like the small 20-foot tall hill or whatever. And we're driving by that, and he kind of just we're like, dude, just like get out, and like I'll just keep driving the truck, because they're pretty used to seeing that particular vehicle driving by, and they didn't really care. So I just was driving slow. He jumped out. I just kept driving out onto this field parked by some hay bales. He had a pretty, gravy stalk, like right up the back of this little hill, maybe 100 yards away, and went up over the top of that and came over. The deer had no idea it was there, and he shot it at like 10 yards, I think. And that's cool. Cool. It was like a 2x spike muley buck, had velvet all on it and everything. Super cool. And yeah, he smoked it. I think it ran like maybe 60, 70 yards piled up. So then, you know, then we were pumped, you know, he finally got one down and everything. And that was his first mule deer ever. I mean, I think it's his second deer ever.
Yeah.
And so he was over the moon. Yeah, and the video clip is awesome. He's absolutely losing his mind, you know, when he came back.
And he got it with a bow too. Like that's so
super cool, dude.
So
and he was jacked. You could tell the adrenaline was pumping and the whole deal. And yeah, we were all psyched, and we went over there and got it right away. And we like, it was so hot. So like now this is at like probably 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's already like almost 100 out.
That's what I was going to ask next. Like, are you guys booking it to kind of like get this thing quartered up and get it on ice immediately?
Yeah. So we get over there, you know, whatever, we get some pictures, film a little thing, whatever. And I'm like, I mean, kind of our options were like, we could just like gut it and like throw it in the truck, but then we got to drive all the way back to the ranch, which is like pretty far, because it's not like you can just drive fast, right? You're driving like a couple miles an hour on these roads. So we, you know, it'd take us a while to get back, and now the deer is just going to be like roasting in the bed of the truck till we get back. And then we still got to cut it up. So I was like, hey, let's just butcher it right here. You know, let's just get the hide off, get this meat cooling as fast as possible. And then we'll go back. So that was what we did. So we kind of had like a field butchering 101 right there.
That's
while
sweet.
We're like roasting in the sun. So we were able to pull the truck up like right next to the deer. So there was like, we were literally cutting the deer up in like the shadow of the truck, because there's like no way to like get in the shade anywhere.
Yeah.
So so yeah, we whatever, skinned it, quartered it out and everything right there, put all the meat in game bags, and then, loaded it up and drove back to the ranch, which was sick because they had like freezers in the garage there. So we pretty much got back, put all the meat directly into a freezer, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And then we went and so there, I swear to God, those people have their AC set at about 50 degrees in their house. And we went in there and crashed for a little bit, and then
you walk in and you get like shock walking through the
floor,
basically.
Their basement was like literally sitting in the fridge, dude. It was amazing. So we went and chilled in there for a little bit after we pulled that deer out, and then pretty much went right back out, kind of for the afternoon, and yeah, we saw some more deer. We kind of sat up on this hill in the evening and just glassed, and we watched some more deer come out and whatever. And kind of the plan was, okay, so like we're hunting around kind of this like alfalfa field. It's the only green for miles, and they have some irrigation on it and everything, but the deer weren't coming to it until like pretty much dark, and they were off of it way before it got light. So to me, it was like kind of low percentage. I'm like, we could sit here and we're going to be able to see them every time we come, but we're never going to like have a play on them,
Yeah.
So it was kind of just like this narrowing things down to where it was just like, we all kind of decided like, hey, let's not even go there tomorrow morning. Like, let's just get up on another hill somewhere else and just hopefully we can maybe put some to bed somewhere else. Cause they're not bedding anywhere near here. We established that, and, so that's what we did. And we had Garrett, who's one of the Cox guys, with us that next day. And he just was going to hunt with us for the morning because he had to like go to work or whatever. And we did. First thing in the morning, we found two really nice bucks. They weren't the big one that we had seen, but 2 bucks together, had a couple does with them. We watched them like go across this whole valley for like a mile. And they get into this big like sand wash thing, and they all bed down in there. And we're like, oh, here we go. This is it. They're going to bed in there. It was like a perfect stock,
Yeah.
And we're kind of just like letting them settle in. And then all of a sudden they all get up and they walk out of it. And we're like, no, come on,
no.
And then they go up to like one a little higher on the hill, and they all bed down in there. And then it looked like, okay, this is it, boys. Like, this is our moment, Mm-hmm. And they bedded up. They were like right at the base of like a 20-foot tall wall. So there was like a perfect approach. Like you could come right over the top and they were going to be down in there. Everything looked so good. I was just like, all right, let's wait like 20 minutes, make sure they stick, let's make sure they're really bedded up, and then we'll go. So Waldo's punched his tag already. So me and Justin have, both have a tag, and that was our plan, was like, we're both going to go on this stock and see if we can, at least get one, maybe get a chance at 2 or whatever. So everything's looking really good. We leave Garrett and Waldo on the hill with spotting scopes, and we're like, we're going to go in. You guys just keep an eye on them, and we'll look at you guys through the binos, and like if something changes, like, wave your arms, or we kind of had a plan for that, right? So we take off and we get down in there, and we make like a 3/4 of a mile loop to get kind of out of sight from where they were bedded. And we're going up this whole thing, and they were just freaking melting. It's hot out, and
yeah,
we're going and going and going. And we're to the point where we're like, okay, they definitely won't be able to see us now. We have like 400 yards to close to get to where they're at. Feeling pretty good about it, and we're kind of moving in, and all of a sudden we see like one of the deer standing up there, which like means he like got out of the cut he was laying in and is now standing like up on the hill. We're like, that's not good. And it was one of the bucks. And then he kind of goes back down in, and we're like, oh, maybe he just rebedded, okay. And then we walk a little further. Now all 4 of them are standing up on the hill. We're like, what the hell? Like, there's no way they busted us. There's no way. Like, the wind is perfect. We're totally out of sight from them. But they're all looking like uphill, like away from us, looking uphill. Well, what we come to find out later is that a coyote had circled around the top of the cut, and the wind was blowing down in. So like the coyote's scent was blowing down into there, and all the deer freaked out and busted out of there. Okay. So like we're like mid stalk, and this coyote blows the whole thing up.
Cock block by a coyote.
Yeah. Yep. So we watch these bucks go over the hill, right? And I'll say at this point, they're probably 500 yards from us. And me and Justin were just like, well, they were just walking. I was like, we could haul ass up there, and maybe we can re-get on them again. Like that, they're walking, but I mean, we could probably catch up, kind of thing. So that was our plan. It was like, okay, let's just haul ass up there. So we take off, start going, and those guys are like waving at us from the hill. Like, and we're like, we have no idea what they're trying to communicate to us. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, long story short, eventually we're like, what's your guys' deal? And they were like, oh yeah, they totally blew out of there. They're super far away now. We're like, oh, okay. Well, so we were just like, you know what? We're just going to go that way. Maybe we'll get right back on them. So we're expecting like these deer like super far away. So we start just like hiking fast over the top of this hill. Well, yeah. So essentially we get up there and we take like 10, 20 steps maybe, and we jump both of the bucks in bow range. Because I guess they were looking at, they like lost those deer, and then they resaw some further down, and they just kind of assumed they were the same ones. So they're like, oh yeah, they're like long gone. And we're like, oh, whatever. So we just kind of pick up our pace, and we were right on top of them. I mean, they were right next to us. Two nice big 4x4 bucks. And we both were just like, God damn it, you know, and you know how mule deer are. They kind of run out there at about 100, 120, and they just stop and stare at you. So now we're just looking at these two nice bucks, just like chilling. And we're like, God damn it. and yeah, they stand there for like, you know, 10, 20 seconds. And then they're just like, see ya. And then they just take off, you know, like, oh my God.
That's a heartbreak.
Yeah. And now we're up on top of this big ass hill, just roasting, you know, we just, and we just hiked like 2 miles to get to where we're at.
Yeah.
We're like,
mind you, it's 106
God.
out now.
Yeah.
Dude,
like,
I bet you're severely dehydrated. If you said you came back and you felt bad, like you could have been way.
I definitely will. And we were drinking a lot because like I have like this like half gallon, like one of those like, you know, insulated jugs. That's like a half gallon. So all of their windmills are just like straight out of like a aquifer well or whatever. So you can drink straight off the pipe, like spilling out of it. So like you just like fill it up at one of those, and it's like ice cold water. So it's like you smash one of those, and every time you pass by a windmill, you can just like fill it up again. So we were like, I felt like I was drinking a lot of water. Like I feel like I was drinking like close to a gallon a day, but it was like not even close to enough. Like I was sweating like a mofo, dude. And like constantly like lightheaded. You're like, this is brutal. Like just cooking. And yeah, so whatever. That's kind of how the morning played out. And then we were just so and we were kind of like, you know, there's like a little bit of a breeze, and we were like, man, I could really keep hiking, but we have no water. Like we just went on this stalk with nothing but our bows. And so we just opted to like hike back and regroup with those guys. And, you know, Garrett had to go to work anyway. So we kind of drove him back to the ranch and whatever. And then we kind of game planned for what we're going to do. Well, in the midst of all of this happening, right, was we saw 4 does go and bed in this cut on a different hill, like a really deep, steep wall cut that we'd actually hiked to the day prior. So we knew, and we jumped 2 does out of it. We just didn't shoot them, but we knew exactly where it was, how to get in there, like the approach angle, everything. We're like, this is, if we see a buck go in there, dead. Like we're killing one if it goes in there.
Yeah.
Well, 4 does went in there that morning. And so we're kind of like, I don't know. Cause we saw this big buck every day, and he was living on the hill where this cut is, but he wasn't bedding in it. So we're kind of just like, well, I don't know. Do we go in there and shoot a doe today? Do we wait? Do we not? Well, the opportunities for like, so that day 3 was the first time we ever even saw bucks bedded. Like other than that, we never were able to even bed one, which is wild.
That is wild.
So we were just
moving out there.
They were moving so much. And I think because it was so hot a lot, and it was full moon too, keep that in mind. So like all the activity was happening at night, almost everything. So all day, wherever they went to bed, they sat there all day long, never moved. So it was just kind of like, I don't know, let's just make something happen. And I was on the fence. I was kind of like, am I going to shoot a doe? Am I not? I was like, I don't know. And then I was kind of like, well, when we get in there, if it's perfect, you know, maybe I'll take a shot. But it's 2:30 in the afternoon now, and we're dicking around all day. And now I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like, all right, I'd be satisfied putting an arrow in one, you know. Like, this is just a brutal hunt, you know. But we're in the so we drive to where we were going to start the hike, which was it was a solid hike into the spot, probably at least a mile. Like not crazy, but it was so hot and it's fully exposed. So we parked the truck at the bottom of this hill. We literally have to like hike over the crest of it all the way to the backside and then drop down, and then we can get into this area where this really steep ravine is. So we start the hike, and in the truck, I don't know. I don't know if I have this on video or not, but we said, like, before we even left, I was like, straight up, I was like, we have an 80% chance or better of killing 2 right here. Like, it was just so perfect. We're like, we know we're going to get in close on them. And as long as we shoot well, like, we're going to get some here. Like, it was such a perfect setup. And so we start our hike. We go up there, and all 3 of us went. So me and Justin are carrying bows. I gave Waldron my camera. Yeah. And I'm like, just film whatever you can. You know, I had a GoPro running and everything. So I was like, I'll get some stuff, but like whatever you can film, get that. That'll be cool. So, okay, we all go up there, and like coordinating a 3-person stock is like not ideal either, right? Because you're trying to be quiet and like move in, but it was like, let's just see what happens. So the way that this cut lays out, it's like 3 different fingers. It's kind of like a turkey foot shape, right? And like the middle finger of it is where all the deer were bedded the day before. So that was what we were expecting again, because it's like the most shaded spot in there. But I was like, let's work every finger of it, because we have the right wind or whatever. So we go down the first finger, nothing happens. So we just back out entirely, circle around, get our wind right. And then we made like, I want to say we approached the middle part of it like 3 times. Like we came in one way and the angle just wasn't quite right. Like we didn't think we could see into it before we would get busted. So we backed out, tried another angle. Like me and JB are kind of like talking it out the whole time. Like, well, you think this? And he's like, well, what if we tried this side? And all right, let's try that. Kind of get down in there. It's like, oh, that ain't it. You know, back out. Cause we just like, we knew we were only going to get one chance at this. Right.
Yeah.
So you don't want to like crest the hill in the wrong spot, cause then they're too far to shoot or whatever. And we didn't know exactly where they were bedded. We knew they were in this cut, but that's it. So finally we're on like the 3rd approach on this finger, and everything felt right. And I'm like easing up to the edge, and he's like, okay, well, if we get a chance, you shoot first, you shoot first. And I'm like, all right, I'm down. And we're like easing in there, and I'm like almost right up to the lip. And the day before they were bedded like right below that. I'm coming up to it, just like one step at a time, going super slow. And all of a sudden I just like look over, and I can see the back of a deer just like feeding, like head down, just its back, like 40 yards away. So I just like crouch down, and we all kind of get down low, and I'm like, there's one right here, And then all of a sudden I see like ears poke over the hill, like coming right towards us. And I'm like, oh boy, like this whole thing might blow up right here, because it's like walking right into us. And it's like a tiny little fawn, like super small. And it's like standing up, like, and you see it's like pencil neck looking right at us, and we're all 3 just sitting in the wide fucking open in the grass. And we're like, oh, this is not going to be good. And then it starts blowing, like how does do like that. And it starts blowing, and And so it starts doing that, and it kind of like wheels around and runs down. And I just stand up and get my bow ready, because I'm like, something's about to happen. I don't know what, but like something is about to happen. And then all of a sudden deer just start standing up all over the place. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
Oh shit.
So pretty much, and like where we had worked the first finger down, where these 2 deer stood up, we had to, I swear to God, when we stalked down the first finger that we bailed out on because we didn't see anything, we had to have been within 10 yards of these deer when we came in there. Where we stopped and backed out, we had to almost ran them over. So I pull my rangefinder out, and I'm like clicking, and it's like 71. And I'm like, I guess,
Yeah.
So, and this deer is just totally standing broadside the whole time, like has not moved.
71, I guess.
Well, because like you're trying to like you want to make sure, but I was like, God, it seems like kind of whatever. Anyway, so like 71. So I, dial my sight 71, and even in my head, I was like, I don't think I was like definitely gonna take the shot, but I was like going through the process, right? Okay, yep. And I came to full draw, and I'm like, like sometimes you draw back, and the wind is kind of pushing your riser around, and you're kind of like, it's just not perfect.
Yeah.
It was really windy, and I drew back, dude, and it could not have been more rock solid. Like nothing was like, just like the pin was settled. The bubble level was like not even moving. And I was just like, yeah, we're doing this. So I settled my pin on it, and I let it rip, and just the loudest whack, it sounded so good. It was slightly quartering to me, and whatever. And then all of a sudden the deer just like drops down in the cut and goes out of view. So we have no idea I mean, I knew it was a hit. Like I literally seen the arrow arc in there, and I heard the whack, but I couldn't tell exactly, where it hit. So now we're all hyped up, right? Like we just let an arrow go.
Yeah.
And so I turn around, Waldron's sitting right behind me. He's like, "Oh my God, dude, that was great. Like, this was so sick. You definitely smashed it or whatever." And he's like, he was filming with the camera, but it was so hot out. So it was so hot out, right? I mean, literally like 3 to 4 seconds before I shot, the camera overheated and shut off.
Of course.
Okay. So I give him credit because he whips his phone out, just like puts the camera down, whips his phone out and starts recording on his phone, and he gets the whole thing. And so I was like, crush that, sick. So he's recording on his phone now. But okay, so I just shoot that one. And now the other deer, like nothing has left yet though. Like they're still in like just out of view of us down below. And I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna get another chance here. So I look back at me and Justin's kind of just like hanging back and he's kind of like starting to move up towards me. And I'm like, dude, they're still like right here. So he circles around and we kind of make like a secondary push, like over this little thing, like 20 yards in front of us. And I'm like, dude, I think they're like right down below us here, like 50 yards maybe. And we're like moving up the crest of it. And all of a sudden this doe comes running out of the bottom on the hill across from us. And I'm like pushing him forward. I'm like, got my rangefinder over his shoulder and he's like getting ready to go. And I'm like clicking the rangefinder. I'm like 75. And I have no idea like what his shooting capabilities are. Like, I don't even know if he can shoot that far or whatever. Like we've never had this conversation, but it was like, I'm just like 75. And he immediately just dials his sight to 75 and draws back. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, here we go.
So yeah, he dials to 75, pulls back, lets it fly. And I see like the arrow going and I kind of lose it in the air, but you just hear this super loud whack, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, like he hit it. I have no idea where, but like he definitely hit it.
He freaking hit it.
Yeah. And this thing goes over the back of the hill and just starts taking off across this grass flat in the bottom. And it runs a good ways and then it beds down like in some tall grass. And we're all like, holy shit, that just happened. Like we literally just did a stalk and shot 2 deer. Like,
that's crazy.
It could not have been more perfect. And so the entire thing is one video clip. Like we have both kills. It's like a 3-minute clip of stalking in, shooting mine, pushing up on his.
That's so sick. You gotta save that clip in multiple places.
Yeah.
Or have it on multiple devices.
And I do, and I got it on my GoPro and on Matt's phone. Like I have 2.
Okay, but Matt should airdrop that to somebody.
I have it. Yeah, okay, I have it. It's on a hard drive, or like I have it. But it's so sick, and it's like one continuous clip of like the whole thing playing out.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah, and so whatever. So now we're sitting on the hill. We watched his go in bed, and it seemed like maybe kind of a marginal hit or whatever. So we were kind of like, well, let's give it some time, you know. We're not exactly sure what you got there, but it's definitely a hit. And it bedded. I mean, although it did run really far, it bedded pretty fast. It was just running really fast. So it bedded, it rebedded, and then rebedded again. So we sat there with a spotting scope on it just to make sure. And eventually it kind of just bedded down and we were like, yeah, we're pretty sure it's dead. So yeah, it was a super exciting like deal. So then I go down in the cut with Matt and I'm like, hey man, I'm just gonna quarter this thing up quick. I'll put all the meat in my bag. We'll hike up to the truck and then we'll go with Justin down to his. So I'm down there, I'm skinning mine out, I think I've gotten 3/4 off, working like the back strap off on one side or whatever. And all of a sudden that big buck that we've been chasing all 3 days we've been there is just standing on the hill right above the cut that we're sitting in. Like probably 60 yards away. And he has no idea we're there. He's just kind of like looking around and we're in a shadow, like up against this wall. So I don't think he can really see us anyway, but I'm literally sitting there, like cutting up a deer. And this huge buck is standing right there, full velvet, big 4x4. And I'm like, you gotta be joking me, dude. Like this is the buck we've like been trying to figure out for 3 days where he's bedded and where he's living. No dice. And now it's the middle of the day. It's like 3 p.m. It is 103 degrees outside. And he's just standing in the wide open, just hanging. And I'm like, there's nothing right about this. And and it would be one thing if he was just standing there and then just kind of took off, right? But he's standing there and he just keeps standing there. And then he starts coming closer and closer and closer. And we're like, you got it. Like, what is this? I'm being punked right now. I'm being punked right now. And like, we have no tags.
Where's Ashton?
Yeah. And we just have the 3 of us there. And then all of a sudden he starts walking down the hill into the cut we're in. We're like in it. And he's just like coming in. And I'm like, this is not right. This is stupid.
Like, this is fake.
And yeah. And he was in bow range for like a couple minutes, just chilling, hanging around. And eventually he kind of goes behind this hill. I think at some point he must have winded us and got out of there. But like, I've never seen anything like that too. Like I've definitely like had deer come by like when I was, gutting one or whatever, but this was something weird, man. Like he just came in there. Like I've never
so weird.
Yeah. And so then, okay, we finished all that. We're laughing about the whole thing. We're like, this is ridiculous. And I put all the meat in my pack. We go hiking up to where the truck is. And Justin's now like walking back to us. And we're like, man, that was crazy, right? I can't believe that thing walked right there. And he's like, what?
Justin's like, did you see that antelope too?
Dude. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I talking? It was like that freak giant we've been like chasing was standing right here, which is like right next to where the truck is now parked. And he was sitting in the truck looking through a spotting scope at his deer, but he never saw it. Like because he wasn't even like looking the right direction.
That's crazy.
And this giant buck walks right by. He never even got eyes on it. But yeah, so we go down and we find his and it was done and we cut his up and we were all celebrating and it was fun, dude. Like I never thought in my dreams that we were coming out of there with 3.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
Like I was like, if we get 2, I'll be super stoked. I thought the buck hunting was going to be a little bit better than it was, and it was so tough. And I think it had a lot to do with the weather, and just how hot it was.
And the full moon, dude. When it's full moon,
I don't think that helped either. Yeah, but
things happen at night.
But it was just so hard to mentally stay in it all day when it's that hot too.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of miles on, like hiking. We'd drive around in the morning and try to get some glassing done, but then middle of the day, the only way to do it was really to kind of hike and try to get on. So we were hanging on some serious miles in that heat because other than the one day after Matt shot his, we pretty much stayed out there all day each day.
That's
like
crazy.
We were like coming back to the house and like hanging out, and they were even like, the Cox guys were like, damn, like,
I mean, yeah, Adam, you fished in some wicked heat. I've fished in some wicked heat, but it has got to be 10,000 times hotter when you're obviously hiking around, but just in like the prairie sand grassland and it's 103 and you can't get any shade. And you probably go in some of those dips and there's not a freaking lick of breeze and it's just boiling, dude.
You get behind a hill and then on top of it, so you got all this grass everywhere, right? Well, like down in the grass, so this Sandhills area, there's a lot of prickly pear cactus all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting those kind of like stuck in you here and there. But then what they have there, which I've never been anywhere that had them at this amount. Like I've seen these before. So sandburrs. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No.
A tiny little ball, like, I don't know, they're maybe like a half inch long. And it's just like a little spiky ball. And they're covered in like spines with like little barbs on them. So like you'd get into like these grass areas that were like you'd push through it, and then from your knee to your ankle was just covered in these, and they would like stick through your pant leg into your skin.
That sounds terrible.
It was brutal. So like
really
you get them stuck in you, and then you had to like peel them out of like hundreds of them. So like every time we do a stalk or go on a hike or something, by the time you get back to the truck, you're like your legs were all like tore apart from these sandburrs, and you're picking them off of there, and it was just ridiculous, man. So like anytime you tried to crawl, like if you were doing a stalk, if you had to crawl, it was like impossible because there was just so much either cactus or sandburrs that it was just absolute brutal. But luckily we didn't. I mean, we got hammered with those things, but it didn't end up like playing into us either. Not being successful on a stalk or something. It was just kind of annoying to have to deal with. But yeah, so we ended up tagging that one buck that Matt got, and then we got 2 does on that one stalk, and that was kind of our action. So we go back that night, and they had like a little party at the ranch. They had a bunch of people over, which was super cool. And I mean, they're a cattle ranch, so like they got unreal amount of meat and stuff. So they had all these like, well, yeah, and they were making like these. I think they have like black Angus cattle, and so they're making these like burgers that were just phenomenal, like burning up these burgers on the grill and so the Cox, like at their ranch, they also run like this pasta business.
You were telling us a little bit about this.
This is wild.
So I was not. Yeah, so I was not in the know on this at all until we got out there. So they have a business and they have like a building on their ranch that's like it's like a I don't know, like a metal kind of like outbuilding or whatever. And it's straight up just like a pasta factory on the inside. Like they have like this machine that like makes pasta. There's like all these drying racks. It is like pimped out, super sick. And they're doing all the packaging
in the middle of the Sandhills of Nebraska.
Yeah.
Italian
it's like
pasta. Here we go, baby.
Yeah, it's like an artisan pasta factory in the middle of nowhere.
That's crazy.
And I guess there's like not many places that do this either.
What's the backstory? How did they get into this?
So I did ask that, and it sounded like so Deb, who pretty much runs the pasta makes it sounded like her parents, I want to say parents or grandparents, were kind of into like making pasta at some point. Okay. So they had like some of the things to do that. I don't know how involved like she was in that, but she must have like at some point inherited some of this stuff. And they were like, maybe looking for another like business thing to get into or whatever. And just started doing this. Like maybe kind of was like a hobby thing initially. It was just like, hey, let's see if we can sell some of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it just took off like crazy good. Cause I think it's only been operational for like not even a year yet. And they're in like stores all over the place, like selling like crazy. So like I go in there, right? And like, I love to cook, right? So I'm like eating this up. I'm like, I gotta see this. And so she's telling me about all these different, she's making like all these like flavored pastas and stuff, like all these different, like she's infusing them with all different shit. And I'm like, I've never even heard of this, first of all.
Yeah.
Like this is amazing. And they are like crushing it. And so I came home with a whole case of all different ones that I'm.
Oh my gosh. I got to try some of that.
Yeah. And I actually made some tonight. This is the first time I actually ever had, well, while we were there, she made some pasta salads that were some of her pasta, which I thought were really good, but I cooked with some tonight and it was awesome. Super good. But yeah. And so she has like all these like, you know, dyes for different pastas that go on her machine that are like being made in Italy and stuff, like super dialed. It's unbelievable the stuff she's putting out of this place. But yeah, it's like her and like her grandkids are like packaging all the pasta, you know. It was just like super cool deal. So yeah, and they have all, you know, all kinds of different stuff. One of the days we were there, they were extracting, you know, honey from beehives. So they're like, oh, you guys got to get some of this honey. So I came home with just like a crazy amount of stuff from their place. All this, I got a cooler full of deer meat, got a bunch of pasta, got honey. I picked a bunch of grapes out of their vineyard before I left. Like the place is just incredible. And they're like,
dude, people go on vacations and pay like wicked amount of money to get like just a taste of some of the things.
I know.
Like, oh, go pick some grapes out of my vineyard. Would you like some fresh honey? How about we make some pasta together and I send you home with a bunch of like people go to wine country in California and don't get half that shit.
I know.
For what
it was got. Incredible. Like incredible. A lot of good memories. I mean, like we were telling story. I think every night we stayed at their ranch. I think 2 nights we were there. Maybe we stayed up till like 2 a.m. just BS and drinking beers and you know whatever. Because and we were getting the lowdown too. We're like, I want to know about this ranch stuff. So they're breaking down like the beef industry and like what they do in that and like giving us the down low on all this stuff. And, you know, and then you start getting some details on like the neighbor's property and like what they do. And, all, you know, you're kind of getting everybody's business. I love that shit. Like
because it's
like kind of getting the local knowledge, right?
And it's just a whole different world. You know what I mean? Like that is not the country we're from. That is not the industry we're surrounded by. Like we're surrounded by small town farming communities, but it's mainly just crops. It's like big beef out there. I'm sure it's just a whole cutthroat different world that we know nothing about. And I would love to get firsthand cold beer stories at 2 a.m. talking about the ins and the outs, the drama, the this, to that.
And that's the thing. There was
you'll never get that story from anyone else.
No, and there was drama. You know, they're talking about, oh yeah, we had this name, like there's like stealing cattle and shit like that. Like we're getting these stories, you know, like how like you know they're like trailering up cattle and like changing the brands on them and shit, like stuff like that, dude. Like I've never heard of anything like any of this stuff, and they're just
some
like
Wild West shit, right?
And they're just like whatever. It's just another day on the ranch, you know.
That's nuts.
But yeah, they have some unbelievable stories. I mean, we were flipping photo albums, you know, in their place of all these monster bucks they've shot over the years and getting those stories. And I just love that stuff, man. It's super cool and getting a lot of the family stories, that kind of thing. But yeah, unreal trip. I mean, super cool way to kind of like start the year off and like punch a tag, come home with some meat, and just like hell of an adventure though. I've never hunted Nebraska, but I'm sure it won't be my last time doing it. It's a super cool place and very unique, I think. Like I've never seen or hunted anything even remotely close to that. But I will say there are some big ass bucks in Nebraska.
Yeah, no doubt.
So it's only a matter of time before we connect with one of those. But yeah, I mean, I got endless stories from that trip, and we were only there for basically like 4 days. But I filmed a ton of stuff, and I'm pumped to finally actually do something with it. But we'll see what happens here. But I got that. I got a little cooking segment I'm gonna do. I know what I'm already doing with that, so I don't want to spoil it, but it'll be a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, meat season. Here we go, baby.
Meat season, baby.
Meat season's back, so we're back on track. We got multiple hard drives backing this bitch up.
Yes.
So
just no more bringing the hard drive or the computer or anything with filming Chronicle stuff. We don't need that getting stolen again.
I'm never going outside again.
Until it's posted, at least.
Yeah.
No, that's sweet. Great work, Pink. I think that's awesome story time. That's the reason this podcast was basically started, was being able to dive into the behind the scenes of all that sort of stuff. So love hearing it. And with that, we'll dive into a couple more segments we got for all you people. Have a little bit of fun. So next up, we got Geared Up. This is one Pinkalla kind of came up with a while ago, where we just dive into something gear-wise that we really like, that we want to give a shout-out for, or that is useful. We have also done ones that do suck, to warn you. So we've only done one, I think. But, we'll dive into that now. So, Sobi, you want to lead us off in Geared Up?
And is this anything, or is this shaded more toward hunting fall?
Yeah, I think we can go more towards hunting fall since we're getting into that season.
I've got some stuff lined up. Let me grab it.
Okay, Sobi will grab it. I'll lead it off.
All right.
I could go grab a sample of mine if we wanted to.
I think he's back already.
I'm back.
Sobi, you can go ahead. You're in. I was potentially just going to take it over, but since you're here, you got it. The floor is yours.
Wow.
If you have this item, you love it, and I guarantee you or your household might even have more than one. And if you don't have this item, you need it. And I don't care if you are a fisherman, an ice fisherman, a hunter, if you just do stuff in the spring, summer, or fall, you need this in your life. And this is not a plug. This is just,
oh my God,
shameless love. This is the Peat dryer. It's a freaking boot dryer. And I don't like tonight. I'm even wearing moccasins without socks in them, and I'm sweating just a little bit. These will go on there later tonight, and they dry them out. And it's unbelievable. Every person in the whole world needs this. I don't care where you're from or what you do. So
dude,
this is kind of a condition.
Those things are the best. I think Waldo, whenever we travel, Waldo normally brings one with.
Absolutely.
So that we have it on ice fishing trip.
And if you they make like little extensions for those so you can put your waders on them. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And the craziest thing about them is I still don't totally understand how they work, because they don't even have like an on or off button, and you plug them in and nothing really happens. You don't really hear anything. It's just like it must be a slow burn of the air that comes up. But if you give it overnight, I don't care how drenched your boots are, you give it overnight, boom, 100% dry in the morning. Incredible. Yes, everyone needs one. And if you're ever like, I don't know what to get my friend or my brother or my dad or my sister or my cousin a gift, get them one of those. You can never go wrong. Even if they already have one, then they have two, and then they can bring one on a trip. They can break one. You need them. It's freaking incredible.
Yes, that is a really good one. Agreed.
That is a very good one, Sobi. I'll do mine next. So as people know, I'm not necessarily the hunting guy if we're going more on the hunting side of things. However, for fall, and going into winter, I think this is a great thing to have. I don't have it out with me. I could get it out of my room, but I don't think I really need to show it off. But getting into fall fishing and hunting, it gets cold, obviously. People wear, whether it's long underwear or whatever that is. I just wear the Gale soft shell pants from Blackfish. It's a little bit of a sponsored plug there. However, I recommend them to literally everybody because they're the best. They're super warm. They're almost kind of just like a sweatpant, but a little more durable. And they're just
warm. They are
warm. So warm. And you can wear them underneath stuff. Or I'm sure Sobi, you wear them out hunting or anything like that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
they're super versatile and just warm. And they're really easy because they're a pant, not a bib. So you can just slip them on really easy. Whenever I talk to fishermen, they're like, "Oh, I'll just wear my rain bibs," and I'm like, "Dude, just spend the $100 or $150, whatever it is, to get them, because all fall when it's not raining, you will wear them, and even if it's raining, you can wear them under your rain bibs."
And if you're like, maybe you're like me, where you're like, you're a hunter, but I'm not like. I do not spend a ton of money on hunting. I try not to, you know what I mean? Because I spend a lot of money on fishing and other activities. So like, I have those same exact pants. And what I do is I buy the thinnest, cheapest, just super thin camo pants I can. And then I'll layer up with like those pants underneath it. And I just put the thin camo pants over it, like if I'm bow hunting on a cold day. So it's like, I literally have these top of the line freaking Blackfish pants that now come in camo because I just slip a tiny little sleeve over the top of them. So they're sick.
And I hope they make a camo pattern in the future. I would not be shocked if they do, but they're freaking awesome. They're honestly legit. Awesome. You can wear them, like I said, all fall, winter, and then into the spring. Anytime it gets under about 50 degrees, I start flipping them on. And the best part is I can just wear like jeans or sweatpants or whatever underneath them when I'm fishing, and I don't have to have 20 layers on. But then when I do go fishing in the late fall, like November and stuff, I'll have long underwear, pair of jeans or sweatpants, and those, and nothing else. Like, you don't have to have tons of layers on. They're really nice and easy to maneuver in. But
that's a good
Pink,
one.
what do you got?
So mine is actually a apparel item as well. At least my first one. So this one, kind of along the same line. So it's a pant. But so for hunting, especially like I'll say the first half of the season. So like it pretty much from like now through I'll say like mid to late October. Highly recommend these. So like hunting clothing is not cheap. Okay. Like a lot of the brands that are out there now, like, you know, if you're talking like Sitka, Kuiu, First Light, any of that, like a lot of that stuff is, you know, a couple $100 for a pair of pants or whatever. Right. I came across these last year, maybe 2 seasons ago. I've been wearing them at least a full season. Plus I wore these the entire trip I was in Nebraska. Also, I actually bought these at Target, if you can believe that. But they are one of my favorite hunting pants for pretty much like warm to cool weather, because you could just, you know, go with like a merino base layer under them to get kind of to that next, you know, maybe down to like 40 degrees, mid 50s kind of thing for like later in the fall. But they're the Wrangler ATG pants, and they make them in a bunch of colors, but they're only like $40.
I'm gonna write that down.
And like they're like a nice like work pant, everyday pant too. Like they're great, but they're like a 4-way stretch material. They got a bunch of pockets and stuff. Like it's not like cargo pants or anything like weird, but they have like, you know, enough pockets where you can like put stuff in there.
Wrangler ATG, you said?
Yeah, Wrangler ATG. They're like $30 to $40 depending on where you buy them at. And they make a couple different like ones. I think there's some heavier duty ones too, but the ones I got are like the lightweight kind of ones. But they are the bomb, dude. And like I said, and they make them in like the ones I have are kind of like an earth brown, kind of like not dark brown, but kind of like not khaki. I don't know. It's weird, but it's like the right color, like the color you want if you're hunting. And they're, like I said, they're by far my favorite hunting pant. And I own some of the like expensive stuff too. But these ones are sweet. You can buy, like, literally you could buy 1 or 2 pairs every year at the beginning of the season if you wanted to. And then even if you beat them up, whatever, you snag them on a barbed wire fence or something, no big deal, patch them up, grab a new pair, whatever. But they're, they'll pretty much get you through probably anything archery into maybe even like one of the early rifle seasons before you start. You probably want something heavier duty than that after, with more insulation or whatever, but they're pretty sweet. And I know they might even make like a fleece line version of those that like is a little warmer, but like it's great. There's a lot of good pants out there that aren't expensive, but these ones I've tried a lot, and so far these ones are like, these are the deal for sure.
There are like some of those sleeper pants that exist at like Target, or even like my mom got me these pair of like fleece line. I swear they might have been Wranglers and from like Costco. And they're the sickest. They're the sickest freaking hunting pant. They're just the sickest fall pant. Like, I wear them. I wear them to bow hunt and do everything in them.
Yeah. So I would look at those. Like I said, I wouldn't just say it if I hadn't used them, but like I had a full season on them last year, and I wear them in Nebraska this year. And I think last year I even took them on. I wore them on an elk hunt in Colorado, and got me through pretty much everything there until we were actually hunting in snow, and then I switched them out. But for $40, I was like, you can't go wrong. It's
you got your,
and especially if you're doing a hunt, like an active hunt where you're hiking a lot, they're the deal. They're like awesome hiking pants. So
sick.
That's sweet. That's a good one. Did you say you had another one, or are we moving on?
I do, but we can go around again.
Yeah, you go do yours again. I'm gonna grab mine.
Okay. All right. So my second one, I'll just bring this up because I actually just used these on this trip, and those other dudes were asking me about them. So I figured other people would probably have the same kind of question, but this is probably more relevant to people that are doing like some Western hunting or like hunting somewhere where you're actually going to be breaking down an animal in the field versus like dragging them out like we do around here, like dragging a deer out whole. But game bags are like not all created equal. And so these are like a reusable type fabric bag that you would actually put like deer quarters in, or like cut up deer meat and put that in, and then put them in your backpack to hike out. And for the past like three or four seasons, I've been running the same set of game bags, and so far they're my favorite ones. And I've tried a few different ones, but right now I'm using the caribou game bags, the High Country Carnivore set, which is like five of the smaller size game bags. So if you're like deboning quarters, the one set, the 5-bag set, will fit like one fully deboned elk is pretty much what it's spec'd for. But like for deer, you probably only need 2 to 3 max bags for like an adult mule deer. But so far, those are my favorite ones. They're super heavy duty. They're white, and they have little like reflective tabs on them. So like if you're up on the mountain and you're going to hang meat overnight, when you come back in, if you come in the dark, your headlamp, you'll hit the reflective tabs. You'll see them really easy. And they're sturdy enough that you can kind of like, you can tie a rope around them and hoist them up in a tree, and they don't rip or anything like that. Seems like a super simple thing, but there's a lot of them that suck. And these particular ones are very good. I know there's a lot of companies making them now, but I would recommend specifically those caribou game bags. And I prefer that High Country Carnivore kit. It's 5. They're all the same size game bags, whereas some of them are like they have quarter bags that are super big, and then like a couple smaller ones also. I just like the ones that are all the exact same size. So no matter what I yank out of my pack, like it'll fit pretty much a deer or antelope quarters you can put in whole. Once you get to elk quarters, you got to debone to put them in these ones. But I don't like carrying the leg bones out on elk anyway. I just debone all the meat. I'm like, if I can't eat it, I'm leaving it up there. So that's just how I roll. But there's a lot of guys that like the bigger ones because they'll pack the full quarter out with the bone in. I'd rather take the time to just cut the meat right there and be done with it. But
yeah.
Look, I mean, if put it this way, even if you don't get the caribou ones, definitely get a good set of reusable game bags if you're looking to like do a Western hunt or something, because those cheesecloth ones are just garbage. they don't work for shit, and like the bugs can still lay eggs through them and mess up your meat, and it's not a good deal. So just get a good set of those and check out the caribou ones. Be my recommendation.
That's a good one.
There you go. That's a good one. Sobi, what did you go grab?
Okay, this is definitely not necessity, and yeah, I want to use it more. I've used it a decent amount, but I really want to use a lot more this year. And you don't have to be into media or cameras to be able to use this, but it's a freaking, it looks cheesy on the outside, but it's a bad to the bone freaking Polaroid camera. Yeah. And I bought it off Amazon, dude. And if you're into hunting or especially ice fishing or anything, like to have this at your deer camp or to have this in your ice shack or to have this when you're with the boys, like, dude, it gets the coolest, most nostalgic shots ever. Like, here's a picture of Steph with her deer she shot last year. And like, I got a whole bunch of just from deer camp and different stuff. And you can buy this off Amazon for like $70. You need it, dude. I like to have a picture of you three boys out in Nebraska on a Polaroid. You take the shot instantly. It's there. You wave it around. It's just good.
Yeah. I need that, dude. We used to do that so much. Like you have stacks of fishing pics and stuff. And
dude, that's the best way. I know Sobi and I have chatted about this a lot, but like with technology now, and we have these super nice cameras, like we take all these dope photos. I got thousands of awesome photos, awesome memories and everything. And they just sit on hard drives or my phone or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, I miss the days of having like a photo album or like a frame or something sitting somewhere where you walk by it. And that's like, I think Pink and I have talked about on the show before, like canvases. And that's why like we've gotten canvases of some highlight moments. Cause it's like, you want to remember that and have that.
Nostalgic and personal when you grab a photo. And like, you know, like you guys are still from the generation, like when you went to your grandma's house or even your parents, like they had photos, like you held photos, you looked through photos, like you would hold photos, and like nobody holds photos anymore. And to buy an OG Polaroid camera and like you take the shot and you literally have it and you, that's the shot. Like that was the shot. And you can either keep it or you give it away and you write the date on it or maybe a little story underneath it. I think it's worth every penny, and every deer camp freaking needs it.
You're right, dude. Like I love those where you pick up like an old picture of like, you know, your dad with a smallmouth, and on the back it says, you know, Lake Tomahawk 1997.
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
You're like, God, this is sick, dude.
Like, dude, I'd love a shot of like JB with he's got no undershirt on, deep V, and he's like holding something and it's in a Polaroid. Like, you imagine, like it would just be, and he's gonna show. He's gonna show.
And those Polaroids look so
I have
good.
those pictures. Yeah,
they do. They look so sweet.
So vintage. Yeah, they're That's a good one, Sobi. I need to get that. Especially
I need that too. Both of you literally need it. Like
you got a
picture of you holding a giant smallmouth Adam when it's snowing out, and a Polaroid shot would be like
yeah. No, it'd be sick.
Yep.
That's very good. That's very good. I don't have another one, so we will just move on to our next segment, which will be nice and quick because then I think we'll get into a fun one to end this. But so we got Bassmaster Fantasy Fishing Roundup. So we're gonna have to make an executive decision on how to handle this. Maybe this was the preliminary round or whatever. But we have ended the year after the St. Lawrence, and what has happened is Hahner dug out of his hole. So this last event, I won. So ended the year with a first, second, first. Proud of that. Very happy with that. Nice. Pink just kind of, I feel like he knew he wasn't going to have to run the turkey trot and just kind of coasted into the end of the year.
I kind of fucked up because I didn't even set a lineup for the last one, and that was not intentional, but it probably wasn't that big of a deal, but I still was like bummed that I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I missed it by a day. I like realized, you know, like on your phone, you get the update, like, oh, live for, you know, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. You're like, dang it. But yeah, Hahner dug out of the hole, and Stolski went up to Alaska, and ever since he went to Alaska, he has not had a lineup set, which I think, kind of goes along with
what
being
a poor
in Alaska.
Excuse.
Yeah. But the final points ended up with Pinkalla at 14, me at 20, Hahner at 26, and Stolski at 28.
Wow. So even though Stolski was MIA for like half the season, he only was out by 2 points.
Well, that's also because Hahner was MIA for the first part of the season.
Oh my God, what a dogfight.
Yeah, they ended up swapping, but yeah. We will. I mean, we could still hold Stolski to having to run the turkey trot. We could absolutely do it. Was he a part of the podcast when we decided that? Was he still around?
Or
was he off in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, I think he was around. Yeah, so that's the way it laid out.
It might have actually been his idea.
I actually think
sounds like a Stolski idea. Dead serious.
It does sound like a Stolski idea. So we'll either have to check on that. We'll see if we follow through, or it maybe was the first year, and then
we should get some listener input here.
Yeah, we need some listener input, and then for either in the future with this weigh-in segment we're going to do next, we either need to do it with weigh-ins, fantasy fishing, or something. We need to have a punishment for the loser after a year, a certain amount of time, whatever it is, so that there's stakes up for everybody, and we're keeping track of everything. They're fun little segments we do and all that, but also like leads to so much more content and more fun. So that's how the fantasy fishing season ended. What do you got, Pink?
Maybe what we should do for this, because like, I mean, they've both been a little bit MIA, so that hasn't like helped their situation, but I don't know if one has a distinct leg up over the other. So maybe there should be like a final head to head between the low two guys to really determine who's the bottom.
Yeah, what we could do, since Hahner and Stolski, I mean, obviously we brought Sobi on so that we can keep this rolling, but they're an integral part of this podcast. And once they're back and not super busy with work, we'll be rolling full steam ahead. It'll be awesome. So for you people who are new, who haven't gotten to experience Stolski and Hahner in a podcast at the same time, you are missing out. We got some great ones from last.
Has anybody heard from Stolski? Like, has he sent any Snapchats or any texts that he's alive, or he's
a few, but nothing recently. It's been probably 2 weeks since I heard anything from him.
Yeah.
And he was just steady, fish harvest mode. So
yeah, they should be. I feel like that season ends fairly soon.
And so he's not on the Kenai, right? He's somewhere else this time.
He's on the Nishigack River.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So somewhere else this time, but whenever they get back, hopefully, I think that's a good idea, Pink. I think we could come up with a creative idea of maybe we just have them go square head to head in a weigh-in, or a 1v1, or
maybe
something.
A 1v1, because then we have like a definitive answer immediately.
Yeah, and we do something where it's like, we'll see. We can see how it goes down, and then I would love to see the punishment actually go through, because we were all very excited about it when it happened.
I think it will, but I think they should each have an opportunity to win out.
Yeah,
because it's like,
I think that Hahner did. I will give it to Hahner though, because he figured out he was going to have to run the turkey trot, and Hahner ended the year with a second, third, first, second. So he got it. He was like, I am not losing. But yeah, so that's what we had fantasy fishing. God, I would just love to see Hahner have to do that. But
probably do good, dude. He'd probably do good.
He'd probably win.
Dude, his Instagram
probably throw up 5 times, but he'd win.
He'd win.
Yeah. His Instagram
he'd get a medal.
Yeah, it'd be so good. It'd be so funny.
Oh,
but okay. And then what we will lead into is the weigh-in. So this is a segment that we do where we just kind of go around the horn and we draft a team of things, basically, and we'll put a graphic up on social media, and you will vote for who drafted the best team. This is the first one we're going off the grid on, not outdoors really, or specific things. We're going a little rogue here, and I think it should lead to some fun and creativity. So this weigh-in is going to be the best round things. Very broad, but you can be creative with it. So how are we going to lead this off with who goes first, and what's our order here? Are we going to go off the last weigh-in? Because I'd have to dig in to see what those results are.
No, let's not do that. Let's see.
I'm going to put this out there right now. I'm really nervous about this. And I did look at our agenda for tonight, but I wrote down everything but the weigh-in, and I'm not prepared. So it's going to be off the cuff, but that might make it better. It might make it worse.
For the most broad one that you actually probably should put some thought into.
I got here early tonight. I got my notepad out, and I did not write down round things.
I spent most of the day today tossing into my notes app, like various things I saw or was doing that I was like, oh, this is a good one, and stuff like that. But what should we do on order, Pink? What are you thinking?
Okay, so how about this? Since there's 3 of us, I will just how do I want to do this? How about this? Here we go, right here. I'm just gonna
here we go. Pink is ripping up a piece of paper
right now. I'm ripping up
now.
some paper. I have.
This is podcasting 101.
Yep, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Okay, I have three piles here. One is 1, one is 2, one is 3. I have 1 in each hand and 1 laying on my computer. And Bart, you just pick one. This is my, I guess backwards for you. This is my right hand.
Yeah, I can just guess one. I'll guess your left hand.
So you want this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, Sam, what you want, the computer or the one that's in this hand?
That one.
This one? Okay, so Bart, you're 1. Sam, you're 3. I'm 2.
Okay.
Got it? All right.
I'm going to write this down quick so that I can keep track. Sobi was, or Pink was 2.
Yep.
And then we
best round objects. That's what we're
round
things. And let's do this.
Round things.
It should like if it's it should be fairly specific.
Yeah.
You can't just take a whole like category of stuff. Like it's got to be like
I think and we can dive into that if we get to something too broad.
All right.
I'm going to go with pick one. I think this is a good 1 of 1.
You were talking this list up.
I know. I got some really good ones. List. I'm pumped. So 1 of 1, I'm going to go with a cheese curd.
He's going with food right away.
See, that's
trying to win the fans over with food.
I like the food pick, but is that actually round? I don't know. I
think it's round.
Okay.
Post deep fry, you wouldn't say it's bumpy?
We'll let the fans decide.
Yeah, but it's
we'll
round.
Let the fans decide.
Like, it is round.
That's where you're gonna go to certain things of this that you're like, is this round or like? Or we're not saying spheres.
Question. It's not.
We're not saying
round from
spheres.
afar, but far from round.
We're not saying spheres.
No one said sphere. No one said sphere.
It's round. You get a nice round cheese curd.
I don't know that I've had a round cheese curd. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying I haven't had it.
Well, you're wrong. It's cheese curd.
Okay. All right. Now
what do you got?
My 1 of 1. I'm taking hockey pucks.
Ooh.
Hockey pucks.
That's a good one. That was on my list.
A good one.
That's actually round.
Playing into that Midwest audience, going into fall.
Yeah.
That is a very good one. Now we got Sobi back to back, and he did not prepare, so this will be very interesting.
Right. Coming off the cuff, number 1 in no specific order, something round that's the best is a fella's or a gal's broken in favorite hat. Everybody, if you're from the Midwest or an outdoorsman or a fisherman or a hunter, they have a plethora of hats, but there is something about one when it's your favorite. It could be sweat beaten and broken to hell. It could be your shittiest hat, but it's round. And when you put it on, you're just like, yeah, that's round, and that's going on my round head, and it feels right. Favorite / broken hat.
Broken hat.
Broken hat. Okay. I think that's less round than a cheese curd, but we'll go with that.
What? It's round.
You've seen cheese curds, right?
Look at this.
Yeah.
Let's just Google cheese curd right now.
Our cheese curd's round.
It's round.
Google it. Google it.
It's round. There's no edges. There's no edges. It's round. Okay, Sobi, next.
Okay.
Number 2, I'm going to go the small foam dodgeballs you used to get in middle school. The ones that you
that's a very, very, very good pick.
The ones you could sink your fingers into, and it doesn't matter if you can throw good or not. You just sunk your fingers in it, and you went, I'm going to whip this thing so hard. I swear to God, I can throw this 100 miles
The one,
an hour.
it's got the fake leather on the outside.
Yeah. Who wants what? Who wants some smoke?
Yeah, the ones when they hit someone, you hear a
yeah.
You just like if you had the bad balls or you went to a class that had the no good balls, you're like, oh, or the rubber ones, you're like, oh, but then when you had the nice foam middle school dodge balls that fit in a small man's hand or a small young lady's hand, perfect, you were just like, yes.
Yeah. And those were the ones like the outside would rip a little, it would flap good when you whip that thing.
Sometimes they'd catch air and curve, hit Daryl right in the face, and you're like, shit, Daryl, I wasn't even going for you, dude.
That is a good one. That is a very good pick, Sobi. That's a very good one. I had not thought of that one. All right. I feel like I have to do it because we went.
Well, isn't it me?
No, it's you. It's you. Damn it. You might take it.
I don't think I'm gonna take it, but
probably not. There's a lot of round things.
Okay, so I went hockey puck. So this one, I'm throwing to the crowd on this. I feel. I'm going highly specific here. I'm going with the everything bagel.
Oh, it's delicious. It's very delicious. All right.
I'm just gonna leave that Larry right there.
Threw in a foodie. Both you guys are on the foodie train. I get it. That wins votes. Fans love it. Who doesn't like food? Everybody eats. Everybody got to eat.
Gotta eat.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, Pink. So for my next one, I am going to go with Lake Mille Lacs.
Oh, okay. I like that. I
feel like that's a great round thing.
Yeah, it don't matter if you like ice fishing, open water fishing, muskie fishing, walleye fishing, or bass fishing.
She's round.
She's round and she slaps.
She's round. There's no other way to put it. So I'm gonna go with Lake Mille Lacs. And the next one, for my last food pick, because someone else will take it, I'm gonna go with pizza.
Oh, okay. Uncut pizza. Make sure you say uncut.
A full pizza. A full
pizza.
Yep.
Pizza's so damn good.
All right.
Feel like, it's a great round thing. You just can't complain about it.
It's so good.
Pink, we are back to you.
This is my third pick overall.
Third pick of the best round things.
I'm going with a classic here.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I am taking the Frisbee.
Ooh.
It's a good one.
Going with that. That's what I'm going with.
I always loved, I always loved Phi Ed class when you got to Ultimate Frisbee Week. It was always fun. It was always a good time. Oh, yeah. I never knew where the Frisbee was going when I threw it. I felt like sometimes it went dead straight and sometimes it just curled to the right so hard or the left. But
have you guys played Beersby before with Frisbees?
Yes. Beersby's
incredible game. That's a good game.
Dude, you know what? Always... Like, for a while, they were real popular. You know how, like, Frisbee was, like, the OG, and then they came out with those, like, aerobies.
Yeah.
For, like, a while, and then they, like, they didn't, like, get that popular, but you could throw them, like, super fucking far.
Yeah.
They're like that one with the hole in the middle. That shit slaps. I ran over at the lawnmower a lot, but...
I was just always jealous of the people that could throw a Frisbee overhand.
Yeah, I was.
And then it would like go hammer, and then it would go flat and just went forever. You got like a little riser. Those were the cool kids in middle school.
Oh,
yeah, they like that knew what they knew what they're doing, and you're just like, stop that, and then you chuck it really hard, and it
tacos into the ground.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Sobi, you're back to back off the cup round things. What do you got?
Okay. Oh, we do 4 of them. That's right.
Yeah, you're back to back.
Okay, so I'm dipping into the food jar since you guys did that, and I have to even things out in case we have a full fan base that loves food. And this one is delicious, and it's extremely round, and it's specific. Every grocery store has them. You roll into that bread aisle, and you find the Hawaiian buns.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter if you're making a ham sandwich, something good.
You're talking King's Hawaiian?
King's Hawaiian buns. Oof, they are round. They are sweet. They are delicious. You don't even need to put anything on them. Yeah.
Supple
and round, some would say.
Very good.
Damn.
And then we are going to round this out with a fresh, full, cold beer in hand. Extremely round, extremely cold. That's the round object I'm describing here.
That was on my list.
You didn't pick it.
I actually took it. I took it off though because of the negative feedback of the cheese curd, which they're shaped about the same. So that is why we will let the can of beer go by.
You're getting some fucked up cheese curds. He's like, they're round, but they're also
a fresh,
like a
cold beer.
I got can of beer.
No, he makes it so unspecific. He
just warm beer.
He's recruiting against
beer. Would you like a can of ice cold beer? What do you want the graphic?
A fresh, full, cold beer.
But a can, it's got to be a can. You have to say a can.
Fresh, full, cold can of beer. Cold beer.
Fresh,
cold beer.
Full.
What was that? Fresh, full,
cold can of beer.
Well, now that we can get oddly specific on the details.
Okay. Oh boy, I got some really good ones left. I just wish we could do like 20 rounds of this.
All right.
But
so I'm down to my last one here.
I will go.
How are you next? You're literally last.
Yeah, that's right. I get too excited. I think we're going. I'm so excited. Okay, Pink, go ahead.
Okay. So this is my last pick. I think I'm gonna jump on this coattails of this highly specific food items. I'm going with a medium rare hamburger.
That was on my list. That is a very good one.
Aren't the ones at the BK Lounge square though?
I don't know.
You didn't say a BK Lounge hamburger.
I think Wendy's is the square one.
Oh, maybe it's Wendy's.
Yeah, I think it's Wendy's. Yeah, good point. All right, for the last one, I will take a little bit different. I'm going to go with an ice hole.
Oh.
Okay.
That you fish through. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Nice freshly drilled ice hole.
Yes.
Interesting pick being we are in summer, but okay. You know.
But now that it's cold,
it is not summer. It is after Labor Day. It is over.
It is over.
We'll see.
We'll see.
All right.
That person that never lets go summer. All right. We'll see.
Maybe we'll never have ice again.
I'm gonna start saying that. Summer's over, right? We'll see.
All right. So I'll rip through the list here, and then we'll go through any honorable mentions.
All right.
I got Bart with cheese curd, Lake Mille Lacs, a full pizza, a freshly drilled ice hole.
It's a good lineup.
Pink.
Feel free to just drop in the comments whether you think cheese curds are round or not. That's all I'm saying.
They're totally round. I don't know what you're talking about here. Pink with a hockey puck, the everything bagel, frisbee, and a medium rare hamburger.
Ooh,
it's a good list.
That is good.
Sobi, just off the cuff, just freewheeling, goes broken hat. Maybe the pick of the draft, to be honest, with foam dodgeball from middle school.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That was a good one.
That's a very good one. King's Hawaiian buns.
Another strong pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then a fresh, full, cold can of beer.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out to be a great lineup, Sobi. You did
not bad. I'm pretty impressed. I've had some bummy lineups in the past. I'm feeling better about this one than any of my other ones.
Yeah, I think that was pretty strong.
That was good. Anybody got honorable mentions?
I literally had 5 things on my list, so I'm glad nobody scooped anything I had. But I did have a Super Ball was on my list.
A what?
Super Ball?
Yeah, like the really bouncy ones are like this big. And
yeah. The like bouncy balls.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That
so I had a couple more left. I had a basketball.
Nice.
But that I was like, that's not going to play with our audience, you know. Hockey puck, I knew. Next, I had Earth.
Broadest choice, the best round things. Yo, bro, Earth. Half the audience is split. Bullshit. That is flat. That is flat.
I bet more people are on the bagel train than the round Earth thing.
Maybe
you still on that round Earth shit, Adam?
I should have put round Earth on my list just for the social media interactions. It would have just exploded. People just like, Earth is not round. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I had Earth. Then I don't know if it's round though. I had it there just in case. Would you consider a football?
Yeah,
but
it's got 2 points, so it was kind of like,
dude, if you're round, you're getting into it on the football, and you threw cheese curd out there. I don't even fucking know, dude.
I don't understand how you don't think like
text me a
plenty
pic.
of cheese
text
curds
me a pic.
I will find some
right now. It should be easy.
We'll see.
I will find right now cheese curd. Then my last one, I actually thought of during it when Sobi was thinking eyeball, you know.
An eyeball. That's one of the best round things, just an eyeball.
Like, you know, Alyssa would have taken that one of one. So, Sobi, did you have anything else?
Honestly, I did not. I really was just. I've been looking around, just gazing. I have nothing else. No.
Wow, you're lucky that there was just enough round things in your garage to cover this one.
I know.
Here you go, Pink. I'm texting you right now.
Okay. Well, I'm on Wikipedia, and it's not looking good for you.
Round. You're thinking of just the ones that you buy from Quick Trip and stuff. Some of those are square, but some of them are round, like the ones I just texted the group. Those are the cheese curds I'm thinking of. Those are round.
Okay.
Those are round. I don't know how the hell you can argue that.
Okay. All right.
Knew this would get contentious. That's why I wanted it.
You don't have to convince me.
It is a round cheese curd.
Okay.
So I don't know. People can weigh in the comments. They made it this far for the weigh-in. Cheese curd is round. So you got the picture, Sobi. You have to agree.
I texted one back. I just Googled roundest cheese curds in the world.
They're all squares. Picture of the square ones.
I just
if we did a square things draft, you could also pick cheese.
I guess maybe there must be different definitions of round. Maybe
I do really like the best round things though. I like when it's so broad that you could choose a Lake Mille Lacs or you can choose a can of beer. I think we should do more of those.
Yeah, no, we'll come up. We need some more really broad ones. Like, we can come up with some random ones that I think will be very good. But I think that one went over really well. But yeah, another great episode of Pass the Barb for people who have made it this long. Please get in on the rating and subscribing and all that. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We need to get those numbers up. We've been growing a lot lately, actually. That's why we're the #1 outdoor podcast in the world. We just want to keep getting bigger.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, we got to chase down Rogan. So, only way we get there is if you guys go rate and subscribe. So until next time.
Don't forget about the giveaway.
Yeah, don't forget about the giveaway. So please leave us a nice review. Yes, for sure. But until next time, this has been another episode of Pass the Barb, and we will see you later.